up? What's happening on a Wednesday? Clinton Yates-less Wednesday, which is very sad, but we have plenty of other great stuff for you, including Ian Eagle in half an hour here on the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube at the Team 980. And I have a question for you, no matter how you are listening or watching, one that you can call in and answer at 301-230-0980. One you can leave a comment on in the YouTube live stream chat if that is where you are consuming the program. And that is, who has the advantage on Thursday Night Football against the between the Commanders and Bears? Not just like who's got the better team, because that's Washington. Who has the better roster? That's Washington. Who has the better coaching staff? That seems like it's Washington. Currently, the Bears don't have a defensive coordinator because theirs was fired for misconduct. Fantastic. But with the short week, I actually kind of, I was thinking about this earlier today when we recorded Take Command. Been thinking about this pretty much ever since this morning. Who has the better, who benefits more, I guess is the best way to phrase that, from the short week? 301-230-0980, the Ace Law listener line. If you're in a wreck, we hope that doesn't happen. But if it does, accidents happen. So if you are in a wreck, Ace Law helps you get a check. Call 8888 Ace Law. On one hand, I would think that a team with a better roster has an advantage on Thursday nights because you just line up and play way more than you do on a Sunday. So let's back up that. Let's unpack that statement, right? So on a first Sunday game, you finish the previous Sunday, you review the film, you correct your mistakes as a team, and then as that's happening, your advanced scouts have already looked ahead to the next opponent, and your coaching staff, pretty immediately after the game, starts thinking about the game plan for the next week as well. They take the data in from the advanced scouts and whoever was working on the scout amongst the lower levels of the coaching staff and the higher levels that were focused on the game that you just finished, start to watch the tape back of the previous team's whatever number many games that you're going to consume. They obviously have cut-ups and clips, and they have entire video staffs that make this as easily digestible. And then for a certain number of games, which is probably different for every coach, not just within a staff but across the league, they watch full games back, all the offense, all the defense, all the special teams, and they come up with a game plan. And this is how we should beat this team. They pour over data. They do all these kinds of things. And that process kind of leads up to Wednesday. Wednesday, the team reconvenes after an off day on Tuesday or Monday, depending on the team, and when they do their review session. And then on Wednesday, everyone's back in the building. You do your biggest, fullest practice, and you implement that game plan into your players, who have also hopefully been doing some level of study on their own, probably much more individualized. Now, your quarterback's probably watching every defensive snap for everything, but like John Allen, it doesn't need to watch every offensive snap in the same way that Sam Howell needs to watch back 17 things on every play. Like John Allen's like, okay, what's this guard that I'm going at? What kind of blocking techniques do they use? What kind of run plays? And it's really, a lot of that stuff is coming from the coaches. So for the players, it's like, what tendencies can I pick up about a guy's stance, about a guy's this, about, the way he plays this technique that I think I can defeat. And so it's much more individualized in terms of the players that you'll be playing against. Then you rely on your coaches for the schematic stuff. And then you take that into Thursday, and often Thursday, every team's a little bit different, but like Thursday maybe is third down, and you say, okay, what do they do specifically on third down? Friday is red zone. You work on your red zone and short yardage, and then Saturday you walk through it all, Sunday you play, right? So there's all this preparation that goes in every single week. Thursday night, not so much, not any time. So what's the basics that they do on first and second down? What's the basics they do in third down? What's our best guess for what they're going to do? We're going to show you all of this in meetings, a much more condensed version, and we're going to install a couple of things, but mostly we're going to rely on our day one install, which is kind of the base layer of your offense that you typically build off of, where it's like we run this concept. And on any given week, we might teach you to how to run it out of a different formation because we think that can be advantageous against this opponent. Not on a Thursday night game. We're going to run it the way we ran it in training camp because we don't have time to mess around. We don't have time to tweak a route within it. We just hope to line up correctly, execute as well as we can, and hope that that's good enough to win. And because we also don't have time to practice because, one, there's literally not time, and two, there is a wear and tear of your body where by Thursday you're just hoping to be as fresh as possible and recovered as possible as opposed to beat up from practice and having to physically exert more. Because remember, most of the time they don't do that again. Like they work out Monday, Tuesday in the weight room, but you don't get on the football field again until Wednesday after a Sunday game. By Wednesday, your match day -1, to use the soccer term. So who benefits more from that? A team that is better, has more talent on the roster, all that, and they're able to just line up and play, and the better is better, or is it actually working against the better team because they're not at their max capacity? It's much more of a crapshoot, and it's kind of a small odds type of bet where it's like, I don't know, anything could happen. Coin flip. Which team do we think has the advantage? I can't make up my mind. And I think it also depends on each individual matchup because, of course it does. For the Bears, like, they're kind of a unique team. They have a super running quarterback. They do a lot of stuff off schedule because they're not very good on schedule. They run the ball a lot. They do some funky things on defense with they run like a lot of run stunts and things that are like not that hard to stop if you're prepared for them because they're not that good at executing them. But if you're unprepared, and they might try to throw the kitchen sink at Washington because they're desperate. They're 0-4. Do you all of a sudden wind up with a super wacky kind of game where a bunch of weird stuff is happening and Washington can't get their stuff off the ground because they are not prepared in the way that they would like to be, not because they did something wrong, but because of the time. And like the wackiness is the stuff the Bears do every week, and most teams just crush it because they have a full week to prepare for it. And does this wind up hurting Washington? These are the questions that I have. I need you to help me come up with an answer, make up my mind. And we will ask someone who would have a great sense of this, an Ian Eagle, coming up at 4:30 because he calls Thursday Night Football every week for Westwood One. So we'll ask Ian at 4:30, but what are your thoughts on that? 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. That is the Ace Law listener line where we talk to you next on The Hoffman Show. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. 301-230-0980, the phone number. If you would like to call in with thoughts on, do the Commanders benefit from this game at all, being on Thursday night against the Bears? Or is this an advantage for Chicago? I think I tend to lean that it's slightly an advantage for Chicago. But before we get back into that and take your calls at 301-230-0980, Anthony, are you just trying to make me miss Clinton today? Are you trying to make me miss my friend?
Oh, is it because I came in with the Clinton Yates?
You came in with the hour opener with Clinton, and then you played Paramore.
Yep.
And that's like, isn't that the song that we're...
Yep.
Yeah. No, it was...
Ain't It Fun?
Ain't It Fun was going to be Clinton's intro song.
Yeah.
And like my guys working. One, it's a weird week for us because the Commanders play tomorrow.
Yeah.
Two, he's got Around the Horn, so he'll be on your television in 45 minutes talking in a box about all the things. And then he's also got Baseball Tonight live tonight. So we're like, you know what? Let's punt to next week. But like that's one of my best friends, and I miss having him on the show today. And you're just like rubbing it in.
Oh, my apologies, Craig. I just didn't want to, exclude him from the show,
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay, so he's now we can text Yates and be like, hey, just so you know, even though you weren't on the show,
You were on the show.
you were on the show.
Yep, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In that case, I guess I'll just get over it.
All right.
But
Does it make you miss him a little bit more?
I don't think it's working. I don't think me getting over it is working.
Well, luckily for you, I will no longer play any more Paramore.
No, I think we should play Ain't It Fun later.
I bet say less.
Like 6:30-ish.
All right.
That's when normally he's on.
Yep.
I miss my buddy. One of my great friends, Ian Eagle, will join us coming up at 4:30, the voice of Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. He'll be able to have a really great answer, perhaps the best answer of anyone, about this question that I'm asking Anthony of, like, do you think that it's an advantage for the Bears or for the Commanders that this game is on Thursday night? I can't decide. I tend to lean slightly Bears because the more this is an NFL football game, the worse the Bears will be at it. And Thursday nights, in a lot of ways, just aren't actually NFL football games. Like, it's a football game between NFL teams, but it's not really an NFL football game.
Yeah, I mean, all the things you pointed out, less prep, really no practices, a whole bunch of, like, walkthroughs or, I guess, jog-throughs. I don't know. It makes for an interesting matchup. I think with all of the off-the-field stuff going on with Chicago, maybe it might favor the Commanders because, again, last year when we played the Bears, we are the ones that, had a lot of off-the-field stuff going on. Like, we had a whole bombshell drop the day of Thursday night football game, which was smart because, it's primetime. We're already getting the attention. Oh, here's more. Here's more.
Here's the story that's going to take down Dan Snyder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
the dirt on other NFL owners story was it wasn't 1 year ago today. Actually, was it 1 year?
It wasn't 1 year ago today.
It was 1 year ago this week. ESPN.
Next week. I think it was the 13th. October 13th.
Other owners, Dan Snyder. When did our pal Don Van Natta publish that? October 13th. You're correct.
Yeah. I think it's the 13th. Yeah, that's when we played the Bears. But yeah, so I think maybe it might lean and favor us. And Ron Rivera said he's very fortunate we're on the other side of this whole situation. And I think last year we came out a little flat against a less talented team in the Chicago Bears. So I don't know. Just for this example alone, I think I would lean the Commanders as having the advantage.
I mean, the Commanders have the advantage in the game because they're the better football team.
Clearly.
My question that I can't figure out is like if you're the Commanders and you have to play Thursday night football, is this great that you're playing the Bears on it and it's just going to lead to an easy win and then you have a long week and you can prepare for Atlanta, who by the way is a pain in the butt to prepare for because they're even though they're not that good, Ritter looks awful.
Yep.
Like you kind of got to wonder if you're going to see Heineke. Oh, that's got bad vibes.
Yeah, I think we might see. I don't think after this week 5 game.
That's what I'm saying.
But yeah.
Is like, do they make the switch to Heineke and bag the Ritter experiment and let Heineke have a revenge game?
He's going to go crazy against us, I feel as though.
I mean, I kind of want him to try and then him throw 1,000 picks, and then we can tell certain people that still call into the station thinking that Taylor Heineke was great to shut up forever. But
I don't know, man.
It also is terrifying that he would go nuts. And
exactly.
That is a big, like, that is Washington fan, like, Ashburn syndrome type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just that is the kind of stuff that results in clown behavior.
Yeah.
But the hope is that we're past that now because it's in the Josh Harris era.
Yeah.
Anyway, I tend to think that I mean, it's hard to separate the two, though, right? Because at the end of the day, the Bears are not good. Like, so no matter when you play them, they're not good. I do think the chaos thing on the Bears side is a little bit underplayed here because it's not quite what we were going through. And I heard, I was listening to some podcast earlier today, and someone was like, they're exactly like us. No, they're not.
Nah.
The Bears, no, there are 0 congressional investigations. No one's about to be kicked out of the league. Like, they're like the truly heinous stuff that happened here that resulted in Dan being essentially ousted is not happening in Chicago at the ownership level.
Yeah.
But their defensive coordinator did just get or have to resign because of some kind of personnel issue, some kind of inappropriate relationship.
Yep.
So that's definitely not good and is not resolved.
And then you got Flus also.
We don't know what's happening.
You got Flus also in the hot seat, a little bit.
Yeah, coach is on the hot seat big time.
Trying to figure out the quarterback situation. Like, it's a lot going on over in Chicago.
I mean, I think that one of the differences, though, is like the hope that they're terrible is real versus like last year here, the hope was that they were actually good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, no, just we're Charlie Brown again. Here we go.
This time I'm going to kick that football clear to the moon.
I mean, I think a lot of us were looking at Ron being like, you're actually Charlie Brown and Carson Wentz is the football. Or Carly Wentz is Lucy. Carson was holding the football being like, I'm a real quarterback. Come kick the ball, Ron. Whoops. And off we went. Wrong button.
That scared me.
Look out! By the way, did we ever? Oh, we never pulled the airplane guy.
Oh, we didn't.
We got to get that scream on the board.
Mm-hmm.
We got stuff that I got to find room for it. There's a couple things here I could take out. That's for sure. Where's my other scream? Or was it? No, I just have the two right now. I have. Yeah, we need. I always forget about Aisha yelling and stuff in the background because one of their kids was sleeping. Yeah, we gotta pull the airplane man. The point is, I tend to think that this game would be better for the Commanders if it was played on a Sunday. They still should definitely be favored. It's going to be a little bit wacky, but I think that there are real weaknesses and areas of strength for, like, I actually like the matchup for Washington in a major way. I think Washington's team speed, and we'll talk about this a lot more tomorrow as we preview the game. Remember, 4 o'clock show starts just as usual, and then we officially end the Hoffman show at 6:30, but I just keep going until 8:15, and Logan will join us at some point in that, and it'll be called the Take Command pregame show. But, like, it's me, it's Logan. We're talking football. We're previewing the game. You don't want to miss it. If you like this show, you'll like that one. So, and you won't be able to tell the difference, except for after 6:30, some different rejoins are going to be played. Anthony's even the one hitting the buttons. And the other difference is it'll be live at Tap Sports Bar. So come hang out with us. Tap Sports Bar, MGM National Harbor. Sadly, Anthony will not be there because he has to hit the buttons, but we're still going to have a great time. So come hang out with us at National Harbor in Oxon Hill. But I like the matchup. Like, if Justin Fields is going to try to roll to his right a bunch, like, Montez Sweat gets to chase him. I like that for the Commanders. I like that better for the Commanders than I do almost any other team in the league because Montez Sweat might be the fastest edge guy in all of football. If he's going to roll the other way, like, Chase Young's waiting on him. That's not exactly a treat. So I like that. I like their ability to stop the run inside if Daron Payne and John Allen set their mind to it. I like their ability not only to do that, but to potentially do it with 6, maybe 7. You don't need 8 in the box. Definitely, and you might only need 6 in the box to stop the run if Jamin Davis is on his game. I do think it's a big day again, and probably will show up in a pick 6 again for Cody Barton, for instance. Like, if Cody's going to be slow to react to run, like, that's going to be a problem because Herbert's real good and Fields is real good. But, like, I think that even though Fields ran like crazy last year, like, I think they'll have a better plan for that this year, and I like the personnel that they've got to be able to stop it. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting night, that's for sure. I would like for such a unique offensive attack that's not that good once you're kind of in place to have more time to prepare for it. But at the end of the day, like, they also have to prepare for the personnel here in Washington and what Jack does, and they've got the same amount of time that Washington does. So we'll see. But you know who can answer this question better than maybe anyone? How about a guy who's been calling Thursday Night Football for years and years and years? Ian Eagle, always on the call for Westwood One, and he will join us next here on The Hoffman Show. Mr. Fortier, how are you? And are you using the headphones that I sent you?
I am using the headphones that you sent me, so I'll not be pulled over. And I got to tell you, man, seeing the craziness coming out of Chicago today with the Justin Fields comment, with the DC abruptly resigning, it's just like giving me flashbacks to what this team used to be like. And I'm like, wow, I'm talking about football in a stadium? That feels odd.
Right. One, God, this call quality is just exceptional. So just, I got to say, I'm going to send you a clip later just so you can hear how clear you are. Two, we actually, so earlier in the show, we did a segment called This, That, and the Other Thing, and we wound up putting the Bears stuff in that. And yeah, it felt very oddly familiar but also safely distant, which I think is good. All right, we got a lot to get to and not a lot of time. So first, let's yes.
James Smith Williams just pulled up and honked at me. I'm on the radio with Craig Hoffman right now. Do you want to say
What's
something?
up, James?
How you doing, man?
What's up, James? Although you probably can't hear it because this is just in Sam's
I'll put him on speaker
headphones.
quick.
Craig, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Feeling good. Just talking to Sam. Last time we did a hit with Sam, he put Matt Paris and Ben Standing on, so this is an upgrade.
Way better. Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
Definitely an upgrade.
All right, let's make sure nobody gets in trouble here. All right, James, drive home safely.
Thank you. You have a good one.
All right, goodbye. James Smith Williams, everybody. I mean, that's been an ongoing bit.
Oh, okay.
I think Travis Kelce's got the best bit of all. He's just dating Taylor Swift, so
That
you
too.
know, forget the lyrics. and then we got our guy Ian Eagle talking about Travis Kelce finding blank space in the end zone. Now
Yeah.
that's how you do it. By the way, I did follow up for those of you that listened to the end of the show on Monday. We said we're gonna have to investigate. Was that like did Noah Eagle feed Ian, his dad, the lyric? I texted Ian, and I was like, we might have to have you on the show to do this. And he's like, there's nothing to investigate. I'm just a Swiftie.
Ooh, okay.
And I was like, oh, well, there goes the segment idea, Ian.
Did you see Jason Kelce confirm the rumors, though?
Yes, he kind of did on WIP today, which is very silly. Jason, your podcast is very good and very successful. If you're going to confirm the biggest rumor in the celebrity world,
Exactly.
don't do it on, do it on a radio show, obviously. Don't do it on a radio show. Do it on your own podcast, you moron. I'm just kidding, Jason. You're definitely not a moron. Jason Kelce, not a moron. It was just not the, why am I doing, let's keep going with the comments. You're funny, Anthony. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Yes, one of the first people to really lean into the NFL's coverage of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift was our friend Ian Eagle, a true Swiftie, who also happens to be the voice of Thursday Night Football on Westwood One, where tomorrow he will be in Landover calling Commanders and Bears from FedEx Field. Hello, Ian. How are you, my friend?
Anthony, I knew you were trouble. I knew it. I knew you were trouble behind the glass.
Right when you walked in?
Right when I walked in, I knew it.
Yeah.
What's up, Hoffman?
What's up, man? How are you? Like, what's give people a little bit of an idea. We've talked about this before just as friends, but like this time of year for you, you're preparing for net season on the NBA side and your national work with TNT. You got 2 football games a week. What's this time of year like for you?
Yeah, it's really interesting you would even bring that up today. So it's all about getting ahead. I literally started on a Nets board about 45 minutes ago, just starting to put the skeleton together of preparation and then fill in the blanks as the days go by, the weeks go by. And that means getting ahead last week for Washington, Chicago. I have Baltimore and Pittsburgh on Sunday. So if you're waiting for the day of the game, the day before the game, you are in deep, deep trouble.
Yeah, it's not a good time, but you're highly organized. You've been doing this. You got a system at this point. I've been doing this for long enough. So, Ian, the question that I have been pondering to start the show, I feel like you are very qualified to answer because you have been calling Thursday Night Football for Westwood One for a long time, and that is, who is favored in a Thursday night game because of the short week? Is it typically the more talented team, or is there, because you just kind of line up and play, or is there kind of an evening effect that happens where the less talented team, which in my estimation this week is the Bears, has more of a shot because it is a bit more, for lack of a better word, a crapshoot?
Yeah, it's a great question, Craig. I think Thursday nights can be very goofy. And when you're trying to figure out a trend that has developed over years and years and years, it doesn't necessarily work with Thursday Night Football. How certain teams handle the quick turnaround, What happened the week before? Was it a physical game? Were you, disappointed at the end, and now you don't have as much time to really soak it in and turn the page? So you're turning the page before you've actually dealt with it or processed it. There's so many factors that come into play. I think about the game last year. I don't know how much this has been brought up or how much you've thought about it.
And we've tried to flush that
Washington-
game from our memories here, as everyone else on
Washington-
planet Earth should, because, God, that was awful.
Washington at Chicago was among the worst Thursday night games that I've called in my career. I remember vividly in the middle of the game thinking, this is the bottom. It's not going to get worse than this. And obviously, Washington got on a little bit of a roll and started to find some wins, and hopefully they were trying to plant some seeds for this year, which you can see signs of. Chicago, it hasn't gone well since then. It's not as if things have changed a whole lot. So I think every game is really its own entity, and I hate to try to generalize what Thursdays are like and how one team is going to benefit over the other. This is a game. If you're Washington, you're looking at your schedule. You're saying, hey, we don't want to be the ones. We don't want to be the ones that end this losing streak for Chicago. And there are legitimate concerns on the Bears side. If they lose another game, there could be wholesale changes with that team on the coaching staff. It feels like one of those kinds of games.
Yeah, it is a very interesting game for both sides from kind of the narrative of their season, where they go from here. And to your point about how unique it is, like, Chicago's kind of a funky team to prepare for. They might be a little bit harder on a Thursday night. When you look at this Bears team and try to squint your way through the chaos of everything going on around them, like, from a football perspective, what do you see as the challenges that Washington faces with them?
Yeah, Fields doesn't do it in a typical way, and he gave them problems last year. They obviously turned the ball over, and they made mistakes. They shot themselves in the foot at times. And look, if you're a fantasy football person, you play Justin Fields in your league, and he's on your team, you're thrilled. The guy has a chance to put up huge point production from a fantasy standpoint. But it has not translated into wins. It doesn't seem as if things are going well behind the scenes in that locker room, whatever's happening with Chase Claypool, and it's just unsettled right now. What I see is a team that has ability. There are guys at the skill position that can play, and they've got a little bit of pop. We saw it at times in this Denver game last week. They led the game 28-7. They couldn't finish, and that seems to be a recurring theme for them. Trying to figure out a way to win games, to generate wins. Defensively, they're banged up. Their secondary is ravaged by injuries, and they have not gotten a pass rush going at all. They're not generating any consistent pressure on the quarterback. So if you're just looking at it face value, you check a lot of boxes for Washington. And if they can just be themselves, don't go outside of who they are, I think they're good enough offensively to put points on the board and to win a game like this at home.
Ian Eagle, play-by-play voice of Westwood One's coverage of Thursday Night Football, of course, the NFL on CBS as well. With us here on the Hoffman Show, as you well know, Ian, so much of this season for Washington is about Sam Howell, figuring out if he is the guy. What does it mean if he is the guy? Like, to what level is he the guy? What have you seen from what you've watched of Howell so far this season?
Yeah, I've seen a guy that has all the tools. I've seen a guy who is clearly a gamer. I think he's a good decision maker. I think that's going to improve as this season goes on. Obviously, protection issues, that's been a problem. Absorbing sacks, your body at some point can't take it game in, game out. The numbers are now getting into the historic level of sacks when you're talking about David Carr numbers from his first 4 games in a season twice, and now Howell is in that same neighborhood. But there's a command there, and that's what you look for at that position more than anything else, and belief. Do guys around him believe that he's the guy? So I take what Ron Rivera said at face value. I think Ron is a very direct and honest and forthright person when he said prior to the season, basically, hey, I screwed up. You should have played last year, and that's on me. I didn't see it or I didn't recognize it, and that takes a big man to actually say it publicly. But Sam looks like he belongs in this league. At what level is that? We don't know yet, but the 4-game sampling for this year, I've walked away impressed.
Ian Eagle with us here on the Hoffman Show. You called so many KC games over the last couple of years. You've had many chances to talk with Eric Bieniemy in production meetings.
Yep.
In the role with CBS. When you would leave those meetings, did you often come back like the next year going, how are you still here as an offensive coordinator? And what have you made of what he's done in Washington so far?
Yeah, you know what's interesting? Every crew does it differently, Craig. My crew, this is going back with Dan Fouts and now with Charles, we made a decision years ago. This was just based on my experience in it. We have the analysts talk separately to the coordinators, and a part of that was what I sensed, and this is not a specific coordinator, but various coordinators, offensive, defensive coordinators, in a production meeting might not necessarily give you the stuff you needed with people in the room that they didn't know and they had no background with. And I just found, going back when I was working with Dan, it was a better setup if he grabbed them separately and got what he needed and then shared with us what we might need for the broadcast. So we've carried that over with Charles. It's been very effective. I did meet with Eric years ago, maybe early in his Kansas City tenure, and, great energy and, guy that's really passionate about football. The fact that he's doing this now in Washington, I think, means a great deal, that he's calling the plays. He's got his finger on the pulse. He's doing it with an inexperienced quarterback. And I do think it goes a long way. Should it? Probably not. The results should speak for themselves, and the people that have supported him and backed him should speak for itself. But, Craig, you and I both know, having been around this league for a long time, we don't quite exactly fully understand what happens in these head coach interviews and why one owner, one GM may feel a certain way or why one candidate gets a whole lot of publicity. There are factors that come into play, but it seems pretty obvious that Eric Bieniemy has put himself in a position to take the next step in his career.
No doubt, and another good performance Thursday night will go a long way towards that. All right, last thing for Ian Eagle. We started on a bit of a goofy note. I would like to end on a goofy but also serious note. A very serious journalistic question here, Ian. It's about your son and one of his good friends. So your son, Noah Eagle, for those that have never put that together, now with NBC Sports, and is called the Nickelodeon game for the NFL the last couple of years. So Noah's done that. And then his former roommate, Drew Carter, did the Toy Story game for ESPN over the weekend. And I would just like to know what was in the water at their house on the campus of Syracuse University. And am I at risk, as someone who stayed there once, of ultimately becoming involved in a cartoon broadcast? I feel like you're the person I need to ask this question to.
Yeah, I believe it was lead. I think it was lead. I don't think they ever officially had it tested, but that's my sense. I turned the faucet on once. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah. I mean, Anthony could probably speak to this, actually, as well, as another fellow Syracuse alumnus. Anthony, did you live on any of those houses off of, Euclid?
Yes.
And
No. Actually, I did not. I did not live off Euclid.
Okay, but, in that general area?
I lived on South Campus.
Oh, okay. So you were probably safe. The closest thing that you have to dealing with a cartoon and a broadcast is me every day.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Ian, did you ever drink any water there? Are you at risk of this?
No, I'm good. But I will say this, in all seriousness, when my wife and I dropped Noah off for that year, we had not obviously seen the house. We knew nothing. This was chosen by somebody else within the group. And we drop him off. We help him bring his stuff inside. We were now going to go help our daughter, who was just starting her freshman year at Syracuse. So we leave, and my wife turned to me and said, "He's not going to live there, is he?"
Man.
I said, "Yeah, no, he's going to actually live there." Yeah.
Yeah, he did. And I stayed there. I mean, I obviously had not seen the house
Wow.
when I would have
Yeah,
just gotten
that
the
was
hotel.
That was a huge mistake
Yeah.
by you.
Yeah. How about it, though? Him and Drew together, and Tyler Aki, their third roommate, is like working at ESPN. What a house.
Yeah. It's been great to follow these guys. It's been this whole other avenue for me to live vicariously and see all these young people doing well in business, and they're all really good people, really good at their jobs. So it's been very cool. The Syracuse Mafia grows, as we know, every year.
It does. It does. Ian Eagle will be on the call. Hopefully, I think I'm gonna make a game time decision tomorrow. We're gonna see how bad the Beltway is when I finish up the pregame and see whether it's worth driving to FedEx or the traffic is telling me to just go home. So hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow, my friend. Drive down safe, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, make a wise choice on this one. Unlike staying in the apartment, if it's not working, then don't push it. We could FaceTime. It's not a problem.
Yeah, no, the Beltway. I mean, you're a great friend. I know. I would love to see you in person, but like you've dealt with Beltway traffic. We don't need to do all that.
Anthony, you playing Karma? What are you playing on the way out here?
You know what I'm gonna play on the way out? I'm gonna play Your Call when Travis Kelce scored.
Oh, there you go.
Low snap. Mahomes moving pocket. Mahomes floats it up. Caught. Touchdown, Travis Kelce. Kelce finds a blank space for the score.
You crushed that.
I heard I'm getting an invite to the wedding, but without a +1. So I've got to work on that.
Yeah, well, more Chiefs games in the future. See what you can do. All right, you have work to do. Thank you. Goodbye. Ian Eagle, everybody, with us here on the Hoffman Show. What a delight. That's a true story, too, by the way. I did really stay on Noah and Drew's couch. I was still pretty recently out of school and had no money. So when I went back to campus, I was like, who do I know? And Ian had introduced me to Noah. And so I stayed with Noah and Drew. And then they both called cartoon football games.
Craig, that is not, so crazy because I think everybody sometimes just needs a crust in the corner when you're fresh out of college.
Yeah.
Fresh out of college. I
Yeah.
don't blame you.
Yeah.
Was the couch comfy at least?
I don't think it was.
Oh. I mean, at least you got to lay your head.
Nothing in that house was really that great, except for the people in it. But, sometimes that's what you need in life.
Yes.
All right. A look at what's trending, and then this, that, the other thing. And then have we heard from our potential guest at 5 o'clock yet, Anthony?
Let me check real quick.
Mm-hmm.
We have not.
Okay, so
I'm
I'm
gonna send him a question mark.
Okay, we might be having a live guest at 5. If not, we'll get Take Command at 5, and we'll probably push that very special live guest a little later in the show. Never read the comments coming at 5:30, so we're loaded no matter what happens, in what order things happen here on the Hoffman Show. Thanks again to the great, undefeated, unmatched Iron Eagle for joining us on the Hoffman Show. Coming up at the top of the hour, a breakdown of Thursday Night Football with a former Washington football player. That could be Take Command with Logan Paulson, or it could be one of his former teammates. So we're waiting to hear back on the former teammate, and if we don't get him at 5 o'clock, I think it's very possible we get him later in the show at 6. So, Anthony, any word yet?
No word yet.
Okay. We might pull the old, let's just call him and see if he answers. In which case, this is I'm willing to share this with the audience because I think it builds intrigue. What will they respond? What you might just all of a sudden, bam, 5 o'clock.
Boom.
Big time guess.
Mm-hmm.
Just rolling in. That's how we do. We're not afraid here at the Hoffman Show. I don't have to do anything. It's all Anthony.
You put all the pressure on me, huh?
I mean, you're the one who's got to make the call. So
you're right.
I mean, I'm willing to send a text. You know, I book guests all the time.
Oh, no, for sure.
Just, in this particular case, you're the one with the magic phone, and so we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Time for a quick edition of This, That, and the Other Thing, where we take a look at a couple of stories that maybe aren't worth the full segment of discussion based off what else is going on right now on a condensed week with the Commanders playing tomorrow, but are certainly worth a mention. 2 NBA stories to get us started. One, I wish we had a full segment. I wish we had a full hour to talk about. We haven't had a chance to talk about the Drew Holiday trade yet. I love this trade for Boston, and if I'm Milwaukee, I'm so mad. Because you trade Drew Holiday to the West, you know he's probably going to get flipped, and probably to one of your contenders, and you're like, not that one. Like if I was Milwaukee, I would hope that he would have been flipped to Miami. And I know that sounds crazy because Miami's been the team that comes out of the East the last couple of years, but I would dare them to do it again. And if you put him in Philly with and solve their Harden problem, and he's with Maxey and Embiid, like, that's pretty scary to me. But in Boston, man, like, Boston traded for Malcolm Brogdon to do what Drew Holiday does, and then they were able to unload Malcolm Brogdon for Drew Holiday. He's a phenomenal on-ball defender. He, by the way, knows, obviously, the Bucks guys' games very well. Like, I think if they match up in the Eastern Conference Finals, like, Drew will guard Giannis some. Like, he's that versatile, and, hey, I used to do this in practice. Let's see what we can do. He's their 4th option offensively behind Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis. That's a nasty team, man. And I know they had to give up Robert Williams, where they give up rim protection, but I actually am of the opinion that they sold high on Robert Williams, and the injury stuff scares me with him. I would rather just take on Drew Holiday and feel like I have a surer thing. Nothing sure. It's the NBA. Than waiting for Robert Williams to return to the form that he had a couple years ago when they were basically unbeatable when he was healthy for 5 games.
Yeah, this trade, man, I think all parties won, to be honest. I think, Portland wins, of course, getting all these young guys. They also have a ton of picks. And then I'm just thinking, like, they're going to be like the Thunder from last year. Like, I think they're going to be an exciting team to watch. I don't think they're instant contenders, but I think as the year goes on, they'll get better and better with the experience. You got Simons, you got Shaden Sharp, and then if Scoot is whatever, what everybody thinks him to be, they're going to be dangerous. And they got 2 young guys, DeAndre Ayton, Robert Williams, and, Malcolm Brogdon, who they might move off of, but he's a good, person to have in the locker room as a veteran.
For sure. No, I think they've done a really good job of recouping value, and they have all these picks and pick swaps and all this kind of stuff for the best player in franchise history.
Yep.
And, all due respect to Clyde Drexler and Bill Walton, but Dame is incredible. And he did it for such a long time there and faced the franchise and all that. So I do think that, like, from the Portland side of it, sure, but, like, in the immediacy, and also the other thing for Boston is you weaken Philly and Miami. Like, you make it, I don't want to say you definitely make it a 2-team race, but, like, those two are on a different level. Like, Milwaukee and with Dame and Giannis and Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton, and Boston with Tatum and Drew and JT and or JB and Porzingis. Like, they're on a different level than Miami, who did not do anything and, in fact, lost in the offseason a couple of key guys, and Philly, who, we're going to talk about, that's this. That is James Harden showed up for training camp and he practiced and he didn't loaf. He actually tried and he didn't do anything crazy yet. I haven't seen any press clippings. But after a summer, the Sixers basically called his bluff. Yep. And we're like, okay, we don't like a trade for you. We'll try, but we're not going to just give you away. And see you in training camp. And their hope, they've been very public about it. They hoped that he would come back and he's going to play for them. And lo and behold, look who's in training camp in his Sixers gear, trying hard out there today.
Mm-hmm. James Harden, man. I'm just.
What
not
if they
high
were
on
good? What if Nick Nurse makes him good? There's a mea culpa and all of a sudden the Sixers go on a run and everything comes together.
It's just so weird. He can't be who he was in Houston, and I don't understand why he can't when Joel Embiid is out there. I don't know why he can't, still be that same Harden. Because when Joel goes down, he reverts back to being so aggressive, hitting shots.
He doesn't. They don't want him to dominate the ball that much.
Yeah, but I just feel like that's when they're at their best, though.
I think what makes Harden really good is he's not afraid to move the ball, which is crazy because he's one of the most absurd bad dribblers in NBA history, except for when he was doing that stuff. He was so good that he was averaging 37 a game, literally, for an entire season. So kind of crazy story. We'll see if it blows up and continue to monitor. Last but not least, the other thing before we get back to the Commanders at the top of the hour, FIFA World Cup 2030 announced today, and it's going to be in Spain, Morocco, and Portugal, I believe, are the three countries that are going to host, which is a bit of a wacky bit. Two continents, although, there's just a strait between Spain and Morocco. They're actually not that far apart. But they're actually letting 3 South American countries host their opening game, which, in a way, is kind of cool, but is mostly really dumb and hokey for the biggest sporting event on earth. It's just why does the FIFA World Cup, the Men's World Cup, literally the biggest sporting event on earth, feel like it has to do gadgets? And the reason, apparently, is because of the way the bylaws are written and where things can go. By putting it on South America and Europe and Africa, that somehow opens it up for Saudi Arabia to be basically the only contender for the 2034 bid. And FIFA wants to be able to throw their hands up when everyone gets mad at them for giving a World Cup to Saudi Arabia after the disaster that was 2022 in Qatar, for many of the same reasons that it'll be a disaster in Saudi Arabia, and be like, oh, we had to give it to them. Dirty. It's a dirty, dirty game. It is FIFA. They suck. They have always sucked. They will continue to suck. What can you do? I guess enjoy the football, enjoy the soccer, and try not to think about where all the money is going. All right, that's this, that, and the other thing. When we get back, a breakdown of Thursday Night Football with a former Washington football player.
Warn you, bro. It is a mess in downtown Nashville every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Not even
we moved hotels the next night. I still am waiting on my refund for that. But yeah, we moved hotels the second night.
Wow.
It was fun. You say they rely on them. We went to brunch with my buddy the next day, who is a Nashville native and has lived in Nashville long enough that he remembers when it was more than just the bachelorette capital of the world. And he's like, yeah, we're pretty much on the woo girl economy.
Yeah, that's precisely what's going on. The downtown businesses cater to that. If you try to get it shut down, you're probably the one getting thrown out. It is what it is right now. It's weird, but Nashville, baby. What are you gonna do? Yeah.
So I will add one more small part to this story, and this is the part, frankly, that I've been waiting to tell you all week as well. That was kind of part one. We got quality Yates reaction. Part two, as we leave the hotel the next morning to go to breakfast. Remember, the wall's very thin. So it's not going where you think it's going. But as we walk down the hallway, my dear sweet wife just starts saying in a slightly elevated volume of voice, It's been proven that the later groups stay out and make noise and all this stuff at their bachelorette weekend, the higher the divorce rate.
Oh God!
In the wedding,
So
and
she's
also
talking
the better
trash,
chances,
basically.
and also the better chances.
Wow. Okay. Okie dokie. So Rachel was pissed, basically.
Yeah, she doesn't have a lot of tolerance for the Woo girls. They say on the internet, like, feel free to post stuff, like your friends' photos, do whatever. But like whatever you do for your own well-being, don't read the comments. Comment section, bad idea. What do we do?
We read those comments, baby.
That is exactly what we do. That was a little bit better. I still feel like that one was a little muted. I think sometimes it feels like you build yourself up a little too much, and then sometimes you don't
I ain't
quite
want to
go
go
for it.
screaming all the way. The thing is, though, my mic is a little lower than yours, so maybe I could have actually, did what I really.
Mike
set out
also
to do.
moves. You can go, ooh. Did you know you could play tricks with a microphone?
I think I'll try that next time.
Okay. You want to give it another shot? Or you wanna
We read those comments, baby.
There we go. All right. I feel ready now. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Coming up in half an hour, it is time for Never Read the Comments. So your last chance to get comments in. I'll double check the live stream comments here in a second at the Team 980, where of course we are streaming live on YouTube, and all our on-demand content at the Team 980 and at Craig Hoffman. Lots of comments on a lot of stuff that we've done over the last week, so we will get to them coming up in just a little bit. Right now, though, we'll see if we can get our mystery guest at 6 o'clock, but we give you a little bit of preview of Thursday Night Football, not just through the lens of what we've been talking about already, which is something that started this morning on Take Command with the conversation you're about to hear of who has the advantage on Thursday night. Logan's played in a lot of them. Logan Paulson, of course, my co-host on Take Command. But the psychology of a team coming off a tough loss in Washington, the psychology of being an 0-4 football team like the Chicago Bears are. What's it like to try to get up for a game like this? That will be not my beat today.
Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not my beat.
And not my beat will be a Take Command. What's today? Wednesday? Take Command Wednesday. Bada bing, bada boom. Bam!
It's time to take command with former NFL tight end Logan Paulson and former Commanders beat reporter Craig Hoffman.
Take Command podcast back again. Logan Paulson and me, Craig Hoffman, just talking about football every day this week in the microphones. The nature of a short week, Commanders Bears tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. Our pregame coverage starts. Well, it starts in earnest at 4 with the Hoffman Show on the Team 980. And then the simulcast, and we flip over the branding, if you will, to the Take Command pregame show at 6:30. All of it live at Tap Sports Bar, MGM National Harbor. But we got a podcast to do first, Logan, to get everybody ready for the Bears in podcast form. And before we even get into Chicago, I want to just talk about what it's like to play on a short week. As a media person, it means you do a lot of podcasts in a very condensed space.
Right.
As a player, though, it's intense. Like, recovering from an NFL football game is hard. And the amount of prep that goes into a game from a mental and a strategic standpoint is immense on a regular week. What are those things like on a short week?
Yeah, I always was not a huge fan of the short week. Obviously, you get the days off afterwards, which is always great. You know, Santana was telling me the other day that he loved Thursday night game, and I was like, why? And he kind of was just like, because we get a mini bye week, you know? And so there is that. There's the light at the end of the tunnel. But I always hated the short week because I felt like it really threw off my prep. It wasn't even about the recovery so much. It was the prep. Like, it just, everything's accelerated. You haven't really flushed the last game, and you're kind of into the next game. And I just felt like I couldn't cover all the stuff I wanted to cover. I couldn't own the game plan the way I wanted to own it. And I couldn't prep like my opponent the way I wanted to prep it, right? And obviously it's tough because you're losing, what is it? You're losing 4 days. So it's challenging to kind of make sure you get everything as you want it. So that for me, I never really liked it. It's kind of the same thing you're feeling here as like a media guy, right? Like, I haven't watched as much Bears film as I normally, or as I would have, or I can watch, because I'd usually do that on Wednesday, but we're doing the podcast. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of accelerates the whole process. And I just found it very, very challenging to feel truly ready. And then God forbid you have some type of injury or nick, or, you know, there was one year we played the Vikings in 2013. I had a torn MCL, and like that thing just hurt like all get out the whole week. It just barely felt better for the game, and then it felt worse on the following Friday. So it is a challenging thing. Like I said, the only benefit that I see is that you're kind of on to the next one right away. So after a tough game, it can be helpful. But I was never a big fan of them.
Yeah, the mental side of it and the preparation, I think, is so interesting on a lot of fronts. You know, your game plans, and we'll get into a lot of that stuff as we go, obviously. But I think that there's also there's just an exhaustion mentally of like not having time to flush the last game. And actually during the press conferences yesterday with Sam and Ron, and I didn't get a chance to watch them, but you know, I do a radio show, and obviously that means we listen to the audio. Both guys just sounded exhausted, and that was like, to hear a very tired sounding head coach and a very tired sounding quarterback, to me, spoke to the fact that they did not let their foot off the gas after that Eagles game. Like, one, that was an exhausting game, mentally, physically, and emotionally. But two, you then immediately have to start preparing to feel that you're remotely ready for this team. And so, you know, we were talking about this with Michael Phillips on Monday on the radio show. Like, you know, everyone thinks that this is going to be an easy game because it's the Bears. And yeah, the Bears might be the worst team in the NFL, but on Thursday Night Football, man, like, just you throw the records out, you throw everything out, because it's not like, it's almost not an NFL football game, because like the preparation that goes into an NFL football game is not possible on the schedule that you were on for Thursday night.
No, I agree. I think it does. It feels very different. The mentality is very different. It's kind of like you're surviving the game as opposed to thriving in the game. At least that's how I always felt. You're kind of, you know, it's like, oh, I don't remember exactly what this formation is. Let's try to get there. And then, oh, my body's a little sore. I don't have that extra gear. Not that I ever had the extra gear, but you know what I'm saying? Like, hypothetically.
Relatively speaking.
Relatively speaking. Exactly.
You don't have Logan's fifth gear, even if Logan's fifth gear wasn't quite some other folks' fifth gear.
That's right. So it does feel very different. The other thing, it's like you're coming off this really emotional overtime loss. And how do you emotionally process those stressors, I think, is another big one, because it's so close to the game. And I do think that there's a lot of truth to this idea that anything could happen, because maybe the Bears are feeling really high and maybe their prep for the opponent week before transfers better to this opponent. I don't personally think so, but there's a lot of different factors that go into it. And it's just about who's going to kind of be the more mentally tough team and who's going to be the better the better pro and figure it out on a short week.
Yeah, so I think it is worth mentioning, and we'll talk about the psychology of each team and where they are in a second, before we dive into the details of the rosters and the formations and the personnels and all that kind of stuff that we always do. But the Bears are also coming off a really heartbreaking loss. Like they were up big at halftime, blow a second half lead. They have a 4th and 1 late in that game where they could have kicked a game tying field goal, or I don't remember what this whether it would have put them up 3 and then the Broncos tie, but like what ultimately would have resulted in them going to overtime with Denver. And then they're driving again after that, and Fields throws a pick to seal the game when they're really close, if not already in field goal range. So, the Bears are coming off a pretty bad one on the loss standpoint, and they have yet to win a game this year, versus the Commanders have a kind of a bounce back performance in a loss to a very, very good Eagles team, where they, in soccer, there's some ties that feel like losses and some ties that feel like wins. And this was almost a loss that felt like a win in some respects.
Sure.
Because you have that late tying drive and then you wind up losing it in overtime. Although the way the locker room reacted afterwards, maybe not.
Well, I mean, they might not feel
my own
that way,
emotions.
But I think there is, in terms of which is better, the ones that the Bears threw away. So in addition to the interception, they also had the sack fumble on the keeper where he's trying to throw the ball away. It ends up being a fumble return for a touchdown. So it was literally that's a 14-point swing right there in a game where they were up by 2 scores, I want to say. So
they were,
that was a messy end of that game, and especially because they played so well in the first half, and we'll talk about that more in a second. But if I'm the Bears, I'm like, man, we can't get out of our own way. And that's what showed up on the film anyway.
Right. Yeah. So you have that emotional side of it. And then the other part of it too is what, if we say this Thursday night thing with the strategy and whatever, does it actually benefit the better team roster wise? Because you take some of the game planning and whatever out of it because there's not enough time to install it. And if you're just going to line 2 teams up and say, hey, figure it out, go play football, does it benefit? Does it serve as an evening out? Or does it serve as this is a huge advantage for the better roster? And if that's the case, then Washington should go out and win this game because they do have the better roster at this point. And I haven't studied enough Thursday night football trends to have a feeling, but when you played on either side of that equation, how did you feel about it?
I mean, because I never really was in when I played into who's favored, who's not. I was just we got to get out here and play a good game. I'm trying to think. My success rate on Thursday night football was not great in my career, but I definitely would assume that it favors the better roster. But in this case, I'm not sure that it does because of all kind of the weird stuff that Chicago does. And by weird, it's not they're running the wing T or something like that, but they do a lot of stuff offensively and defensively that's enough of a wrinkle that takes a lot of time to prep, and you're never going to get a mastery of that in a 2-day walkthrough kind of Thursday prep. So I do think that there is some stuff here, even though this roster is better, that Chicago just does. That's part of their DNA, that it's annoying to prep for in a short week because you'd like another couple days to get ready for it. For example, if you're playing Philly, you don't even really need to do any prep because you know exactly what they're going to do. You're familiar with them. That's a divisional opponent. Maybe that's a bad example because they're in the division. Maybe the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs have run the same offense for the last 5 years. So when you played them last year, oh, I know that. Oh, yeah, this is what we did last year. Oh, that worked really well, and it makes it really easy. Here, Chicago.
Or if you're Washington and you're playing Kansas City, it's this is, hey guys, remember training camp?
Yes, exactly right. And so with this game, it's just they do enough different stuff that I don't think it's the benefit of having the superior roster does not carry as much weight in this game because there's a bigger mental load, I would say, offensively and defensively.
The last thing I want to talk about before we get into that stuff in detail, and we keep hinting at it, I promise we will get there, is kind of the psychology of where each team is at this point in their season. Because Washington, I still feel probably defensively, they're we got to figure this stuff out, but hey, we're getting close. We like certain things we're doing. Offensively, I feel the confidence is probably high. But what's it like to be on the other side? If you're Chicago coming into this game, you're 0-4, you thought you finally had one, and then it slips away. You throw it away, probably is how you feel about it if you're them, based off what we were just saying. How hard is it to mentally bounce back and get up for another game on a Thursday night, that quick turnaround. And what's it just like to go to work every day when you're on a team that frankly is not very good?
Yeah, it's tough. When I was up in Chicago, we were not a good football team. Like we were having a rough go when I was up there as well. I think we won 2 games or 3 games, something like that. And it is very fatiguing mentally because you come in and you have to kind of be, at least this was my thought, you have to kind of be the same person every day. I have to be a professional. I get here at the same time. I do the same film study. I am like that. That's my schedule. And no matter how bad or down the team is, like I'm gonna finish in practice. I'm gonna, be upbeat. But it is at some point. You ever heard the saying like "fake it till you make it"? Like that's kind of how it feels. Like every day, it's like false enthusiasm, false this, because you kind of know that you're not a part of a good organization, a good team, and the good organization thing, because like all that drama that's going on with the DC and all that stuff that's happened up there, it's not great, and it is very stressful, very fatiguing, and it's hard. It's hard to kind of get up for each game, and unless you have a really solid leadership group and really strong coaching staff, it can get really sour really quick. And guys, not through no fault of their own, will just start going through the motions, quite frankly, because it's like I'm getting paid, got to make it to the end of the year, my contract's up, or I can't get hurt, and then you kind of start playing for next year. And obviously, it's still early in the season. 0-4, you can still kind of do some stuff here and turn the season around, but one more loss and it looks completely different, and you're kind of like, maybe you start getting into that more. And especially with a young quarterback, I think it's exceptionally challenging. It's tough when you're playing in that environment every single day. It's not fun. I can't even it's like if you knew everyone in your company was going to get fired at the end of the year. That's kind of what it feels like. How would you perform? You would be like, I'm going to do my job as well as I can because I don't want to get fired, but everybody else is in trouble, and you're like, it's just this like there's this looming ominous cloud that, unless you start winning football games, is always there every single day.
Yeah, you're like, that light at the end of the tunnel is a train.
And it's not great. Yes, it's not great.
And by the way, like something unique to sports, because nobody roots for corporations. Well, maybe some people do, but that's maybe a different podcast. Anyway, the point is, we had a caller that called into the radio show yesterday who lives, like, Commanders fan who lives in Chicago. And he's like, what you have to understand is up here right now, the fan base is already like over this season.
I bet.
Because they've got the first round pick from Carolina and their own. And they're like, what if we pick 1-2 in this draft?
Yeah.
And like, it is a loaded draft. Caleb Williams is sitting at the top of it. You could wind up for a franchise, by the way, who I kid you not. And Logan, you might know this, but for Commanders fans who thinks we've had a bad run of quarterbacks here in Washington, we smoke the Bears. 100 and whatever years of Chicago Bears football, the best quarterback statistically they've ever had is Jay Cutler.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like, Jay is far and away statistically the best quarterback they've ever had. And like, they don't, like, Mitch Trubisky is like a top 10 all-time passer in Bears history.
Yeah, it's
like
crazy.
it is insane how bad their luck has been with quarterbacks / how their skill in evaluating the position has been. So all of a sudden you can finish this season dead last, not only pick up Caleb Williams, but also draft Marvin Harrison Jr., who might be the best receiver to come out in a decade, to pair with him. Like, oh, that's the best offense the Bears have had in 100 years from day one, possibly. So like there is real angst and anxiety and I would say hope for being bad. But if you're a player on the team and you feel that from the fan base, like, that can't be very fun either. So
No, it's tough.
it's a tough situation there in Chicago. Do not wish that on anybody. But
that being said,
Commanders, like, you can't just be like, all right, well then we're good. Like, they're pros out there trying to turn this around and trying to win games, and it's not going to be a walkover.
Absolutely. And I think that's one thing fans often forget. It's like, oh, they're playing the Bears. When I was on bad football teams, like, you knew you were on a bad team, but you're in a job interview all the time. And they always talk about how, like, pro scouting departments watch your last 3 games of film. So I was always in my mind, this needs to be my best game of my career every single week. And there's a lot of guys that approach that way because ultimately it's a business and it comes down to money. And these guys, they understand that, the Bears guys, no doubt in my mind. And they're going to play hard because they want to still be in the league next year. So And this is a good opportunity. I think they offensively, I think they probably look at our defense and say they've got some talented pieces, but they're susceptible to big plays. And we were able to crush the Bills and being again, or the Broncos, finding big plays. And defensively, maybe we can steal a couple here and there on a young quarterback with some pressure because we like to blitz a lot. Like, let's go get it. You know what I'm saying? And it's a short week, and they can't prep the stuff that we've got. So you never know.
You never know. All right, so let's get into the details. Dagger. If you want the details, you're going to have to listen to Take Command for yourself. On demand, anytime, anywhere, on to the free Odyssey app or your favorite podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Anthony, how do you listen to podcasts? Are you a big podcast guy? Do you listen to podcasts as you drive around, as you walk around, as you do your thing?
I listen to podcasts when I'm in the morning.
Morning podcast guy.
Yeah, that's the only time I listen to podcasts. In the afternoon, I usually listen to some music on my ride home.
Yeah, no, I feel that. There's a lot, like, I listen to sports podcasts often in the morning, and then on my ride home, like, I'll check in on other things. Like, I have some political podcasts or like world news podcasts because I'm a dork that I like to listen to, and those often get hit in the afternoon. Although I will say I've become a regular listener to New Heights, the Kelsey Brothers podcast, and that is definitely taken away. Like, it's starting to eat into my other schedule. So I don't even know what a category. Like, it is a sports podcast, but it's not. So I listen to that one. But I'm a Spotify guy for very specific reasons. Spotify was the first one to do with a 1.25 speed. And that's the perfect speed to listen to a podcast at.
Yep. Apple Podcasts got that too.
They do now. But I was already hooked on Spotify and made the switch. Now, like, all my subscriptions are there.
It's never too late to come back.
That's true. But they're
come on over.
If either side wants to pay me.
You're right. I hope they're listening.
Where everyone should listen to their podcasts, though?
The Odyssey app.
The free Odyssey app.
Yep. My bad. The free Odyssey app.
That's actually the full name. The free Odyssey app. Yeah. I was talking about this with someone this morning. Like, we put our podcast on YouTube, and it crushes. Does great numbers. Fantastic. Like, people love it on the YouTube. In fact, coming up next, we'll read up some of the comments on it because people are so into it on YouTube. I don't do podcasts on YouTube. It's not my thing. Sit down and watching a podcast. Is that a thing that you do at all, or is that is it kids younger? Like, who's doing that?
So the first
I want to understand my audience.
The first episode that Z did with the trenches, I watched on YouTube because I was sitting in IHOP. But ever since then, I haven't really been on YouTube.
I can't say I've never watched any, but generally speaking,
it's just an extra step, though, also, to get on YouTube.
Well, also, it's when I consume podcasts. I don't often do it when I'm home. And if I do, it's often like if I'm folding laundry. So maybe like in that case, I could pop it up on my TV, which is like what I tell people to do with our show, right? Like you want to stream us live and you got stuff to do, put us on TV like you'd put on Around the Horn or PTI or whatever other sports show. And we're just like dudes talking about sports in boxes just like they are. So it's just we're talking about your teams as opposed to all the national chicanery that's happening. So I've definitely done that where I'll like put a podcast on the TV. But often I just like literally put it on my phone and just turn my phone up. But like
so
if the wife's not home and I got stuff to do. But like if I'm not cooking dinner or folding laundry or doing something else, then typically I'm like I'm going to watch something on TV that's like a TV show or play Madden or whatever else. But I guess if you treat a podcast like a TV show, that's what people are doing.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just trying to understand the audience.
Feel you, man.
Send me a tweet. Except for now, send me an X because Elon Musk doesn't understand branding.
An X.
This is why I just still call it Twitter.
Yeah.
I actually hate myself for having given into his
That's
stupidity.
like you call him the Carrier Dome, whatever the new name is now.
Yeah,
no,
it's
the Carrier Dome.
It's the Carrier Dome.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was that for whatever. Like, it's not like when people switched over from the Verizon Center to Capital One Arena. Like, it wasn't the Verizon Center for that long.
The MCI Center?
Yeah, it was the MCI Center, and then it was the Verizon Center. And, like, if it changes every 7 years, you can change with it.
Yeah.
It has been the Carrier Dome since my father was a dumb frat boy at Syracuse University and used to play tag with his frat brothers in the construction site in the 1980s. That's a true story.
A long time.
Yeah.
Not to say he's old, but
It's been a minute.
Some time.
It's been a minute. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. And when we get back, it is time for the YouTubes. We go in to the comments section. Put on your hazmat suit, Anthony. It's time for Never Read the Comments. They tell us we should not really engage in certain parts of the content process. We should definitely post our content. We should tease our content. Hey, tell the people when things are happening on the show. Put that out there on social media. Then make sure you share the content afterwards. But definitely do not engage with the people who comment on it. It's the deepest, darkest underbelly of the internet. No. Do not read the comments. But every single week, 5:30 on a Wednesday, what do we do, Anthony Haney?
We read
Yep.
those comments, baby.
I'm so glad that you gave us a really good one there, because next week we're going to have a fancy new intro for this. We just got the big voice guy, old Jim Cutler, to do some stuff for us. And in my head, the fancy intro includes Anthony going, read those comments, and he just gave me the material I needed to work with. He didn't even know that. You didn't know that, Anthony. Tell the people you didn't know that.
I did not at all.
But next week, you bet your bottom dollar you're going to see it. It's a running bit on the show, but also like an actual thing. I'm trying to learn French. My wife and I are going to Paris next year for the Olympics, so I'm trying to learn French. It's incredibly difficult. I'm very bad at it. Tips for someone learning French. You did the reverse. For people that don't know, you started as a French speaker, and I was reading on Wikipedia, so I don't know if it's true, but also Haitian Creole, first two languages, and then had to learn English, which I know is very, very difficult to learn when it's not your native language. French, English, they don't seem compatible. What's your tip for me as I try to learn French?
I would say watch movies in French with English subtitles. That's what I did. I watched a lot of movies in French, but I had the English. No, I watched a lot of movies in English with the French subtitles. So like movies, music, it's kind of something that's like easy, like on the brain. It's not too much information, but you can still enjoy it and you can see the conversation, because that's the hardest part. Learning like a little word, like to say like, hey, my name is this or whatever, that's easy. But holding a conversation, that's the hardest part.
Yeah, right now I'm really just trying to master, like, I'm American, do you speak English? Because I think in Paris I can get away with that.
Yeah, so je suis américain.
Yeah.
Et je ne parle pas français.
See, even the way you said that is not the way Duolingo says to say that. So I'll just have to come back to my new French tutor, Benjamin St-Just. BSJ, appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Sure.
It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We'll get back to the phones coming up in the 6 o'clock hour. 301-230-0980, the phone number. But right now it is time to check in with the other way that people can get their opinions in on this show, which is by leaving comments, whether that is in our live chat on the YouTube stream, where we stream live all 3 hours daily at the Team 980, or on-demand content. Primarily the comments wind up coming from my page, at Craig Hoffman, so subscribe there. It is time for Never Read the Comments.
We tried to warn them. They didn't listen. Every week, the Hoffman Show goes into the belly of the beast.
We read those comments, baby.
Never read the comments.
All right, you ready, Anthony? Hazmat suit on?
Yes, sir.
Proverbially speaking. It's a very nice hoodie you have. I'm just wearing a t-shirt. I think we'll be fine. Let's do it. Let's dive in to the comments. Starting off with our Take Command live stream, which is immediately following most games. I will say, programming note, we will not do a live stream after Thursday Night Football because Logan is going to be at the stadium till like 1 in the morning, and I'm old and have to go to bed. So we will do an instant reaction pod Friday morning, and then obviously put that up immediately. But typically about 90 minutes after each Commanders game, we do our Take Command live stream. And even on the live stream, people were commenting that they felt pretty good about the Eagles game, even though it ultimately was a loss. At Buddy Barlow 9604 says, super proud of my team after today. Our guy Blaine Bowling 3303 says, Forbes is an absolute student of the game. Went to a master class today. That man will 100% come to the next game better than before. I think that Sunday's game was something that, as a fan, should make you feel better than what happened against Buffalo. And that what happened against Buffalo, and by the way, watching what Buffalo did to Miami was more of an aberration than, like, that's what you should expect. What you saw against the Eagles is what you should expect. A team that can beat almost any other team in the league is going to be right there. And then it's a matter of who makes the plays. Unfortunately, it was Philly, but Washington was, I mean, you could argue that Washington did, and they weren't called correctly, for instance, on the Terry McLaurin play in overtime. Like, what happens if his foot is ruled inbounds as opposed to out of bounds? Do they go down and score a touchdown on that drive? But the comeback, like, the character of that. And then as far as Forbes goes, like, for as bad as it was from an execution standpoint, he never stopped competing. He wanted the smoke, and I want a guy who wants the smoke, especially at that position, because if you have a long memory, like, you're not going to succeed in the NFL. He's got to clean up his technique, and I think when you go back and watch the tape, you get a better understanding of what Ron Rivera was talking about in terms of technique and why on Wednesday last week he was like, if he wants to see the field more, he's got to clean this up. He saw the field more, it didn't get cleaned up, and he was going against A.J. Brown. That did not go well. But I do think he's a student of the game. I've been so impressed with his intellect and the way he sees things, so he can marry that knowledge and the way he sees and reads the game with better technique. He can become the corner that they drafted him to be at the top of this year's cornerback draft class, right behind Christian Gonzalez. Of course, the Lions took, what's his name, from Illinois? Witherspoon? Devin Witherspoon? Do I have his name right, Anthony?
Yeah, Devin Witherspoon.
Thank you. Not in draft mode, not in Detroit Lions mode. Devin Witherspoon, so can be right up there with those guys if he can get it all down. But he's got to learn, and unfortunately, he learned the hard way, and it did cost the Commanders a victory. After that loss on Sunday to the Eagles, of course, we started Monday's show with 1st and 10. And a good point by Isak, is how I'm going to say this. Isak 301. Says, great analysis. Thanks. Thank you, Isak. I appreciate you, and I hope I said your name correctly. It's likely a lost comment, but the gassed blurb by Ron was surprising. I feel like we were led to believe things were amped up this training camp. Think anyone will question the comment this week. If it was a different week, I think he might have been asked about it. But I also think, and like, to be honest, the reason I bring this comment off of YouTube and into this segment is because it's something that I thought about as well, and something that, frankly, I talked about a lot. The Commanders were supposed to be in better condition than their opponents based off how Eric Bieniemy runs things. But I get the feeling Philly probably runs things in a similar way. They probably do some move the ball drills and things like that in training camp. Obviously, there's a lot of leftover from Andy Reid in Philadelphia, and Andy's the one who's kind of the godfather of that style of training camp. So that's part one. Part two is, like, if you run the race, you run the race. Like, you run it as hard as you can for the 100 meters, and when you cross the line, you're gassed, your opponent's gassed, and everyone can be tired at once, and you don't want to run another race. So you just like, hey, let's rest up and race again here in 5 minutes, which I think it's important. You know, some people are like, oh, is it really that big of a deal to get the rest? Like, yeah, if you go do some kind of super high intensity activity that is short burst, the shorter the work, the shorter the rest needs to be. That's just simple physics and physiologics and other things that I've studied and are doing a very bad job of describing. But like, if you work for 10 seconds, a 10-second rest is a lot. If you run for an hour, then getting to rest 10 seconds isn't that much. And so a 2-minute drive with the clock pretty much running that, let's say, lasts 3 minutes of total time, if you get a full 5 minutes to recover, like, that is a pretty big deal. As opposed to, hey, you got 30 seconds and the play clock is running and you got to go run another play. Like, calm down from that. Like, you got to go run another play right now. That said, I would have done it anyway. And we laid out the argument for going for 2 ad nauseum earlier in the week. Obviously, it can be talked about forever, but I do think that Ron made a mistake there. Not an indefensible one, not a fireable one, not an inexplicable one. And some smart people that I like a lot and think are super duper smart, especially on this topic. Like Sheehan, of all people, Mr. Clock, Kevin Sheehan is like, I kind of get it. I would have gone for 2 there, and I feel pretty strongly about that. The big comment getter, Anthony. If I had to bring up one topic that we've talked about over the last week that you thought got the most comments, what do you think it would be?
Over the last week?
Yeah. And you don't have to think back very far.
I mean, it would have to be Forbes.
No. Topic that we did.
Oh, that we did.
Like, of course, we've talked about Emmanuel Forbes. But, like, think of a segment on the show that we did that you think would have drawn a lot of commentary. Hint, don't think back very far.
Today? Yesterday.
Which topic yesterday?
Anthony,
you're killing me, Smalls.
The draft picks.
Yeah.
The one I made a promo out of. That one.
Yeah, the one you made a promo out of. The one that we're probably going to wind up discussing again today because we didn't have a chance to talk about it with callers. I just went on a rant and then we were out of show.
Yeah.
Well, because we didn't get a chance to take calls, people got their thoughts in on the internet, and boy, are there a lot of comments. So let's dive into them, starting with this very long comment, but it encompasses a lot of, I would say, counterpoints in it. So I'm going to read it from KC7490. I don't know if I 100% agree here. There's a reason behind the Quan Martin pick and a lot of the other picks made that have fans scratching their heads. The Martin pick was made because they weren't sure about the future of Cam Curl and Kendall Fuller, just like how they weren't sure about the future with Duran before he had his breakout, so they took Mathis to ensure they had something to fall back on if he didn't produce. There is a method to this madness, and it's not all without fault. I don't think they've ever taken a lineman that purely excels at one position in the name of position flex. They do have preference for drafting scheme fit over raw talent when it comes to coverage players, and a lot of the guys they've drafted don't necessarily make contributions from their first year, i.e. Jamin, Diami, Turner, Sadiq, etc., but I don't think they've missed a ton in the draft at all. Worst pick I can probably point to is AGG. Other than that, I haven't really been particularly angry with the contributions from any one draft class. I know Quan will get on the field eventually, whether it be later this year or next year, but I do understand that they made the picks that they did to mitigate the loss of guys they're not sure they can get back, so they're not completely bare at the position by the time preseason rolls around. I can almost guarantee that in 24, they're going offensive line, edge in the first 2 rounds, and people are going to hate it. What I would say to this comment, Anthony, is you have perfectly encompassed Ron Rivera's philosophy which is exactly my point. Doing it this way leads to you being mediocre because you need to find ways to get the most good players on the field as possible. And if you spend your high value draft picks on backups for guys that might leave, and then you consistently just re-sign those guys, then what you've done is created a logjam at one position and weaknesses at other. It's why your tight end room is not as good as it could be. It's why your offensive line room is like, yes, are they okay? Are they way better than a lot of other people on YouTube, frankly? YouTube commenters, callers to the show, listeners to the show, tweeters, everyone thinks the offensive line is. Yes, they're better. They're not trash, but they're not good. Like, what happened if you took a second rounder who was good on the offensive line? What happened if you took a second rounder that was really good at tight end? What happened if you took a second rounder or even, God forbid, your first rounder at linebacker and played him 100% of the snaps? Like, the way they're doing it isn't bad, but it prevents you from being great. It just entrenches you in mediocrity. And I think that's my point here is, yes, what they're doing isn't without logic. It's just that the logic leads to a place that isn't where a championship contending team should be aiming their navigation system.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the draft from earlier this year, and there was a lot of talk about us possibly taking a lineman. And the thing is, they were there, and they opted not to go that route. They wanted to make some free agent moves, and they thought that was
Osiris Torrance, Tawan Jones, like guys that are starting in the league as rookies.
That are playing well.
Yeah.
They're playing well.
And that, like, here's the thing. Like, to KC 7490 and Ron Rivera's point, I'm sure Ron's psyched to be in the same sentence as KC 4790 or 4790. Like, if you want to do that the first 1, 2, 3 years of your tenure and be like, hey, this is how you rebuild a franchise, is you get depth at important positions and, you insulate yourself. Eventually, you have to graduate to taking some risks. And continuing to do the same thing over and over again once you've gotten out of the basement, like the strategy to get out of the basement into the middle is different than the middle to the top. Actually, I don't know why this just popped. I mean, I do know why this popped into my head. But like, I was talking to a guy who's a friend of mine, Nick Simmons, who, if people are watching this on YouTube, they might very well know because Nick's very popular on YouTube. Nick competed in 2 Olympic Games as an 800-meter runner in 2008 and 2012 for the U.S., and then started a YouTube channel, and his YouTube channel took off, and he's now got 1 million subscribers. And a couple years ago, my podcast co-host on the fitness side, Chris Gorez, and I, we were working on something with Nick, and we went out and actually shot a video with him, and we got to spend some time, and it was really cool. And he talked to us about how the strategy he used to get from 0 to 100,000 subscribers is going to have to be different from 100,000 to 5,000 or 500,000, and different from 500,000 to 1 million. And he's now way up over 1 million subscribers and is killing it because he adapted along the way. And building a football team or a sports team is on some level, and especially a football team, right? A basketball team is a unique beast because it's such a small roster. But for a football team, it's similar. You have to have a certain way that you're going to get out of the basement back to baseline NFL average. How you break through NFL average is on some level luck because you got to take some swings. And you got to be willing to do stuff that maybe is a little uncomfortable. And if you're going to take that second rounder on Mathis, then don't pay Daron Payne. I don't care how good he was. Look, you made that decision. You got to let Payne walk because you've decided we have our replacement and we're going to spend that money on something else, somewhere else on our roster. So, like, you can't just insulate if you want to be great. You have to do more than that. And I think that's my gripe with Rivera's plan. It's not that these aren't well thought out, smart positions in a vacuum. It's like, we don't exist in a vacuum. We exist in this big ecosystem of the NFL, and you're trying to build a full roster with talent everywhere, and that it's going to involve hitting on some guys that help you out immediately and don't sit on the bench and wait to see if someone else is going to sign a contract or not.
Man, I agree.
Amen, says Anthony.
Amen.
All right. Let's see what else the rest of the commenters had to say. At Char Mercy, or perhaps it's French, Char Mercy. Sorry, but you're too early. If Washington, like in the past, gets better as the season goes on and gets in the playoffs and wins at least one game, this will look foolish. If they're out of the playoffs with a couple of games to go, yes, you can then rant. Char Mercy, I can rant when I want to. That was English French. Anyway, it's not too early because we're 4 games into the season, and outside of the one first-round pick that's actually playing regular snaps, they have gotten guys that have played a combined 20 snaps amongst their 2023 rookie class, and that's just no way to build a football team in 2023 with the way the contract structures are. Outlaw Star 96 actually makes, I think, a great point. Quan was a total luxury pick when we had a dire need on offensive line. Tell me you wouldn't rather have Osiris Torrance at left guard than a safety that isn't going to play. Maybe they were trying to plan ahead for the eventuality of Curl or Fuller or both being gone next year. And again, that's true. That is possibly what they were trying to do. And maybe next year Quan does play a lot more. But I think what's crazy is, and this is actually kind of what set me off on this rant in the first place, was Ron talked about the guys in front of Quan Martin, and he mentions Percy Butler, and he mentions a bunch of safeties. And I'm like, wait a second. I thought you drafted this guy to play corner. And you spent all this time cross-training him in training camp. Is he just going to redshirt this year and cross-train again, and then you'll see where he's at next year? And that's why you're not paying Cam Curl? I just philosophically, it does not make any sense to me. Greece, 88-37. Jamin Davis has turned into a first-round talent. I agree with that. Why isn't he playing more? This is kind of my thing, is you're actually, in trying to rebut my point, are making my point. Jamin Davis has actually developed quite well. Jamin Davis is, I would say, a top half linebacker in football with the way he's played the last 7 or 8 games. Last, quarter of last year, first 4 this year. Has he missed a couple plays here and there? Sure, but he's largely been great, and he's made some super elite, rare plays with his speed and the way he's chased guys down. The Russell Wilson fumble, obviously the best play amongst them. And with that, Cody Barton's playing ahead of him? No, you drafted him to be your star middle linebacker. Why are you not letting him be your star middle linebacker? He proved he can handle it last year. And by the way, Barton is not that good so far this year, maybe getting better week in and week out, but you got Khaleke Hudson, who was a 4th-round pick. Khaleke wasn't a 7th rounder. Let me double check this just to make sure I'm right. Anthony, if you happen to know this off the top of your head, by all means chime in. But Khaleke Hudson, by the way, if you Google Khaleke Hudson, you want to know what one of the results is?
What is it?
Is Khaleke Hudson good? That's really funny, actually.
That's the first thing that pops up?
It's not the first thing. Khaleke Hudson was a 5th rounder. So that's a little more. First 4 is kind of the cutoff, but Khaleke is a 5th rounder. You would like a 5th-round linebacker to eventually develop into someone who plays for you. When was Zaire drafted?
7th round.
Yeah, Zaire Franklin's one of the best linebackers in football, 7th rounder. You can find gems at that position. What do? They go spend free agent money. It's bad use of resources. That's the problem. Umari Q-Ball 7977 says, I think fans give Ron a little too much credit for the recent success on late-round picks. That is more of a testament to the scouting department as a whole doing their jobs. Rounds 1 and 2 are where Rivera's questionable decision-making coming into play. I think Jamin Davis was a reach when he was drafted. Much better player now as opposed to year 1, but a reach in terms of draft capital. Editor's note, ding, 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 ding. I love Jamin, but that's correct. The Quan Martin and Fedarian Mathis picks speak for themselves. It's clear Ron squanders away high capital draft picks in the name of quote-unquote roster building. And then some bigger thoughts. This one from I think we decided this is Mr. Swervon, not Mrs. Wervon. Mr. Swervon says, we all know it's Ron's time to go. Again, this is from Mr. Swervon, not from me. I'm just reading the comment. People in Carolina let us know what we were getting. I really like Forbes, but passing on a cornerback that you could just lock down one side is criminal. I'm guessing he's talking about Gonzalez. They did the same thing that was done when Rambo was drafted because of turnovers. I thought they drafted Quan to be a slot corner. I don't think BSJ is a slot corner. He's best when he's on the outside, even though he doesn't have good speed. Totally agree with your take on Jamin. They let Cole go for a cheeseburger. Cheeseburgers. And brought in a guy who constantly gets blocked into the stands. Thanks, Ron, for changing the culture and enduring what you had to do. But it's time we go our separate ways. Did he say work himself back into playing shape? Talking about Ron's comments that we played during the segment yesterday. He was talking about Quan. He missed one game. This is comical at this point. S.W. Mullins. I don't think that's Mullins like landfill Mullins, Anthony. Do we think that landfill comments on our stuff?
That would be unique. I mean, it'd be interesting. I'm gonna ask him.
We should. I'll take a picture and be like, "Is this you?" Anyway, potentially landfill, but someone named S.W. Mullins says, Craig, couldn't agree with you more. I don't like to be negative, but it's philosophical. That's definitely not landfill. He doesn't mind being negative at all. I don't like to be negative, but philosophically, Ron is out of his league amongst other front offices. He should be a player's rep for a team like Doug Williams is, as he can relate to players and treats people with respect. Having said that, he is setting us back and we should be moving forward. Thanks for saying it. And kind of like the offensive line is one of the big positions where this is most true. Raymond Smith, 2040, says, I think the reason why I'm so mad about this O-line under Ron is that it wasn't half bad when he got here, and it's gotten progressively worse since. Don't say Sam is our guy and turn around and do nothing of note on the O-line. Like, if Sam's the guy, that means your quarterback is cheap. You can spend other places. And you can also spend draft capital in other places because you're not using it on quarterback. And I think that's kind of the big point here about this entire topic, which we can take calls on next at 301-230-0980. But it's about using your capital. Yes, it's great when you get lucky, which if you have a star that you get late is luck. Like, otherwise you would have taken them sooner. That is how the NFL works. So whether it's Sam Howell or Cam Curl, some of these late round picks that have worked out, okay, that's great. But you buttress your team, you build your team with your first 3 to 4 rounds, depending on the position. You can get really good guards, for instance, in the 4th round. But first 3 rounds especially, that's where your best players should come from. And as I said yesterday, and I'll say again, because it's still true today and will be true for at least the rest of the season, the best players on this team, the absolute stars, the closest thing you have to superstars, all predate Rivera. He spent big money on William Jackson, bust, spent high draft capital on however many first rounders. None of them have been stars. Second rounders have barely played. Third rounders, same deal. That's how you get to be the Chiefs. That's how you get to be back in the day. Like, yes, they got lucky on 6th rounder Tom Brady, but how many first round studs did they have in New England? They knew exactly what they were looking for and did it. The Richard Seymours and such, Vince Wilfork and such. You got to know exactly what you want. You got to get it, and you have to develop those players into stars. And some of them don't have to be first rounders. They can be a little bit later, depending on the position, because positional value matters. But they have not done that for these 4 years, and that is going to keep them in the middle as opposed to competing for championships. That is Never Read the Comments. You can leave your comment at Craig Hoffman, at the Team 980. And, of course, check out full episodes of Take Command as well on YouTube at 1067 The Fan. When we get back, let's take some more calls on this. Where are you at with Rivera? As I think most fans are optimistic about the team in general, but do you feel like you're actually looking at a coach and looking at an organization that can elevate beyond this into contender status? 301-230-0980. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980. Always live on the free Odyssey app and streaming live on YouTube at the Team 980. Final hour of the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Hope you're having a great Wednesday, and I can't believe it's only Wednesday. I can't believe it's already Wednesday. Like, Anthony, this week really is, you know that none of the rest of us can hear that Anthony's still, like, vibing to Meek Mill. Hey, we're over here. We're doing a radio show. Yep. Yeah,
My bad. I got lost in it,
Yeah,
real quick.
it's easy to do. Dreams and nightmares, very easy to do. But I need you to focus. Need you here.
I'm locked in.
Yeah, locked. Yep. Now I've lost focus. Now I just said I need you to focus. I need you to lock in, and then I've completely lost my train of thought.
Oh man.
No, this week is just weird. Like, I have no feel for the week. Everything just feels like a sprint. Everything just feels like we're full steam ahead towards something, and I don't even know where that thing is. I guess it's kind of tomorrow, but then, like, how important are our shows the day after a game? And how important are our Friday shows going into an NFL weekend?
Yeah.
In general, like, Commanders or not. And those all get smushed together on Friday after we run full speed through the game tomorrow, and we got the pregame show tomorrow. Anthony, it's so much talking. I've done Take Command every day this week.
Are you tired, Craig?
I'm exhausted.
I'm not.
And I got 4 hours and 15. At least I don't have to do Take Command tomorrow morning. Although I will say.
Ooh.
So we record. What?
You have a radio hit tomorrow.
I don't think I do.
Oh.
I've done Michael's show in Richmond. I've done Awad's show in Richmond. I'm out of shows. Unless, like, the junkies call me and want to have me on in the morning.
Or Kevin.
Sheehan's coming on with us tomorrow,
okay.
7 o'clock. We just booked that on Take Command pregame. But we taped Take Command this morning, which is out. We flipped it quick and had it out a little bit after noon, our full preview of Commanders and Bears. But a lot of times on days that we record, we also tape the Take 5 segment. So for those that are subscribers to Take Command, we do full, like, 45-minute to an hour length podcast episodes. And then we record these extra bonus episodes that come out on the off day. Spoiler alert, we don't do an extra days of work. We just record for 5 minutes after. We don't even hit stop on the recording. We just keep recording, and then we cut it up, and we put it out the next day. And so this morning, the one that we recorded, the Take 5 that will come out tomorrow morning. And what we've been doing every week for the games is we take a look at the opponent and we pick our favorite stories from playing that opponent. So if I've got, like, a funny story from playing against the Eagles, I told it on last week's show. Well, this week it's a Logan Paulson Bowl, by the way. Next week, also a Logan Paulson Bowl, a.k.a. teams that Logan played for playing each other. And so instead of playing against the Bears, this week's story was one of Logan playing for the Bears. And it was one of the best stories he's ever told on the podcast. Like, I think we might have to play it tomorrow on the radio.
All right. I'm looking for what was the story about?
So there was a game in 2016 when he played for the Bears that he said was the most violent game he ever played in.
Whoa.
And, like, he actually afterwards, Wes Phillips was the tight ends coach here, and he and Logan were good buddies. And he told Wes, he's like, you got to watch the film of this game. And Wes, like, calls Logan and is like, bro, that is the most violent game I've ever seen in the NFL. This is Wes Phillips. This is Wade Phillips' kid, who has been a very good coach in this league at that point for a long time and has continued to go on. I think he's the OC for Kevin in Minnesota right now, and will probably be a head coach one day. Very, very good coach. But he's like, that is the most violent game that I have ever seen in the league.
All right. Yeah.
And it wasn't just, like, violent around Logan. Like, it was violent because of Logan.
Squeeze this in.
What are you typing?
I'm just pulling up the Google Sheet so I can
put in story time.
Yes, so we don't forget.
Worst case scenario, I think I'm going to have to try to do a super cut of it for YouTube, like for shorts and, like, for TikTok type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
God, I keep forgetting to post my Take Command producer is doing a good job of sending me social videos, and I'm posting them up on YouTube Shorts and trying to put them out on Twitter. Keep forgetting TikTok. Not a TikToker myself. Dang. Missing out on audience.
It's very addicting, actually.
Although I don't think that's going to help us with our men 48 to 54 that we're trying to improve with.
Unless they're, yeah.
I mean,
unless they have kids that are using TikTok.
Hey,
They might.
Hey, Dad, have you checked out this radio show? You should listen to it on your drive home on the Team 980. I might have to cut down like a super cut, and if we can't find a place in the show for it tomorrow, because tomorrow's show is going to be jam packed, then we can definitely do it in real things, and we'll just do like a shorter version of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So, note to self:
I'm game.
do that tomorrow morning. Other than that, we're now 90 seconds left in the segment talking about the fun that we've had.
I think we can tease the.
Yeah, I definitely.
Yeah.
So what we were going to talk about here that we'll definitely talk about next is there's certain people that seem to be in this business for getting attention.
For clicks. That's what
clicks?
Oregon's coach said.
Oh,
They're in
yeah.
this for clicks.
Yeah, the coach of the guy, the coach of the team with the fancy uniforms that kind of invented attention-seeking behavior in college football.
Yeah.
In its modern form. Yeah, that guy said there's people that are in it for clicks. And I get it. Like, we're not above a clicky headline every once in a while. My thing is, if you're gonna bait me in, if you got something good, hook me. But there better be some meat on the hook. Don't just hook me with empty calories. So if I click on your story and I'm like, that was clickbait, you suck. I hate you. Then you did a bad job and you should be fired from your job. No, I'm just kidding. But there are some people that I'm like, you might as well have, instead of taking the time it took to create that graphic with your quarterback rankings, in this particular case, just take a graphic, stick it on your Twitter page, and have it say, I don't know what the bleep I'm doing, and I really want attention. Yet, we're going to give one of those people who did that attention, just the worst kind for them, next on the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Hey, it's Logan.
Mr. Fortier, how are you, and are you using the headphones that I sent you?
I am using the headphones that you send me, so I'll not be pulled over. And I got to tell you, man, seeing the craziness coming out of Chicago today with the Justin Fields comment, with the DC abruptly resigning, it's just like giving me flashbacks to what this team used to be like. And I'm like, wow, I'm talking about football in a stadium? That feels odd.
Right. One, God, this call quality is just exceptional. So just, I got to say, I'm going to send you a clip later just so you can hear how clear you are. Two, we actually, so earlier in the show, we did a segment called This, That, and the Other Thing, and we wound up putting the Bear stuff in that. And yeah, it felt very oddly familiar, but also safely distant, which I think is good. All right, we got a lot to get to and not a lot of time. So first, let's...
Yes. James Smith-Williams just pulled up and honked at me. I'm on the radio with Craig Hoffman right now. Do you want to say something?
What's up, James?
How you doing, man?
What's up, James? Although you probably can't hear it because this is just in Sam's headphones.
Quick. Craig, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Feeling good. Just talking to Sam. Last time we did a hit with Sam, he put Matt Paris and Ben Standing on, so this is an upgrade.
Way better. Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
Definitely an upgrade.
All right, let's make sure nobody gets in trouble here. All right, James, drive home safely.
Thank you. You have a good one.
All right, goodbye. James Smith-Williams, everybody. I mean, that's been an ongoing bit.
Oh, okay.
I think Travis Kelce's got the best bit of all. He's just dating Taylor Swift. So, forget the lyrics. and then we got our guy Ian Eagle talking about Travis Kelce finding blank space in the end zone. Now, that's how you do it. By the way, I did follow up. For those of you that listened to the end of the show on Monday, we said we're going to have to investigate. Was that, did Noah Eagle feed Ian, his dad, the lyric? I texted Ian, I was like, we might have to have you on the show to do this. And he's like, there's nothing to investigate. I'm just a Swiftie.
Ooh, okay.
And I was like, oh, well, there goes the segment idea, Ian.
Did you see Jason Kelsey confirm the rumors, though?
Yes, he kind of did on WIP today, which is very silly. Jason, your podcast is very good and very successful. If you're going to confirm the biggest rumor in the celebrity world,
Exactly.
don't do it on, do it on a radio show, obviously. Don't do it on a radio show. Do it on your own podcast, you moron.
Uh-huh.
I'm just kidding, Jason. You're definitely not a moron. Jason Kelsey, not a moron. It was just not the, why am I doing, let's keep going with the comments. We have a new... It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. And Anthony and I made an executive decision during the break. See, we had planned on talking about... I'm not even going to name the outlet. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to give them the thing that they so clearly want, which is attention. There's an outlet that did a quarterback rankings that had Sam Howell 30th, behind, amongst others, Desmond Ridder, Justin Fields. Mac Jones was like 21st. Just an absolute joke of rankings if you're remotely paying attention to the NFL this season. Obviously, we're all going to be higher on Howell here in Washington because we watch him every week and we see the promise, and, you know, we might not watch as much of some of the other NFL, but Anthony and I, we watch enough. We watch enough for the rest of the league to know that Mac Jones has been poopy. To know that, by the way, that's another drop that we should definitely get. We need to find the Jamie Tart poopy.
Oh, while we're talking about drops.
Yeah.
The airplane guy
Yeah.
is in today's folder, so you can...
But is
Oh,
it,
you
is
need
it
me
in-
to put it in.
I need it
Okay,
in. I
gotcha.
need it in wide orbit.
Gotcha.
I need so people can see it. Whoa! I'm giving a real behind the scenes here on YouTube. That I need it on that board right there.
Yep. Your little gadgets.
Yeah, I got my buttons. Let's get me all settled back in here. Hey now. We need that guy to be able to scream. But anyway, the point is, we need the Jamie Tart from Ted Lasso. Poopa. Somewhere. Maybe he can replace J.D. McKissick. Is it time to retire J.D. McKissick? Oh.
He almost pooted on himself.
Dang. The fact, I didn't even know you were about to play it, but, you know, we sort of sounded
You kind of did there.
Yeah.
You really. I think if you're that good at the impression, we don't even need the bite. We just,
Yeah.
Hey Anthony, we need it.
He almost pooted on himself.
He almost pooted on himself.
He almost pooted on himself.
He says JD says his self though.
Oh,
He almost pooted on himself.
He almost pooted on himself.
Yeah, we can
All
just retire.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need some button space. Also, we definitely can retire this one. Yeah, because we don't care about Dan and his boat
Gone.
anymore.
He's
Yeah.
gone.
So we can definitely retire that one. Okay, so we got room for poop and for the airplane screaming man. Anyway, we decided that these people that just want attention for their crappy rankings are not going to get it. And instead, we're going to do our own quarterback rankings. Yeah. Screw them.
Yep, let's
And
get it,
their
baby.
stupid rankings. All right, Anthony, are we gonna? I think we should go consensus rankings, and we're gonna have to move very, very quickly because our goal is to rank, let's just say all 32 quarterbacks starting, because they went to like 35, and there's guys that have played whatever, blah blah blah. We're just gonna go the current 32 starters,
Okay.
and we're gonna try to rank them as fast as we can.
That's a bet.
All right. To help us, I'm going to pull up the NFL league standings because I assume that that's going to be helpful to have us remember. Although I guess I could pull up like passing yards and stats stuff too. Anyway, the point is that Patrick Mahomes is first. He's still number one. Yes.
This season, all right, sure.
If you want to make an argument that like Josh Allen and what he's done the last couple of weeks is worth being number one, like I'm fine with that. But I'm gonna try to combine what's happened this season and like
Past
overall.
history,
Like
yeah.
I'm not putting Joe Burrow. Like Joe Burrow this season
Stinks.
is like 30th.
Yeah.
He's been trash. But I'm not putting Joe Burrow 30th.
Yeah.
So it's like a mix of
Okay.
of all the things.
All right, so Mahomes 1.
Mahomes 1, Allen 2. Yeah.
Okay. 3.
3 gets tough. 3 gets tough because that's where Burrow belongs, but I don't think you can put Burrow there based off what he's done this season.
Nope.
And how much do you want to wait this season versus what we know these guys to be? Because if you want to do it based off this season, I think Tua's next.
Ooh, you're going Tua next.
That would be that, but that's only if you base it off this season.
But
then again, as you start looking at the list, man,
I would go Herbert.
Herbert's right
3.
there. He would be the next guy because there really aren't that many guys. I've got it now rankings by QBR. And by the way, you want to know who leads the league in QBR?
QBR Tua?
Brock freaking Purdy.
Wow. I mean, that doesn't surprise me, actually, though.
Brock Purdy is averaging 9.1 an attempt, 254 a game, 5 touchdowns, no picks on the year. He's only taken 7 sacks. He's got an 84.6 QBR. Ridiculous.
Wow.
Ridiculous. Brock Purdy's got more passing yards than Sam Howell.
That doesn't surprise me either.
Yeah. There's like 4, 5, 6 guys.
You got Chris McCaffrey.
You got 6 guys over 1,000. Oh, no, you got a couple more that are down the list. Anyway, the point is, I think I would I'm okay with Herbert in our little rankings here. Herbert,
Then
Tua. I can't drop Burrow any lower than that.
Purdy.
No.
Too high?
Way too high. Because, there's a lot of quarterbacks that if you put them in San Fran, I think Purdy's going to distinctly be in the top half of this list.
Okay.
But I can't put him top 5 or even top 10.
I would be more willing to put Hurts over Burrow. Burrow has been that bad, Chris.
I'm okay with that. Burrow has been that bad. So in our makeshift, we're doing this quickly, but we're still going to do a better job than the fools who want attention. We've got, are you writing this down somewhere?
Yep, we got Mahomes 1, Allen 2, Herbert 3, Tua 4, Hurts 5, Burrow 6.
Burrow 6. Okay, now I think Lamar's next.
Yep.
And then I think we're kind of in the next tier of guys. Now we get to kind of the Trevor Lawrence question. Not very good so far this year.
No.
Has a 48.9 QBR, if I'm reading my columns correctly. Yeah. 48, or no, is he the next one down? He's there. That's 46.1. No, 48.9. All the way across. Yeah.
I'm just letting you know, Craig, I'm not putting Lawrence over Purdy.
Well, then we're going to have to fight.
Craig, a lot of his success was what they did at the end of the season, where they went on this crazy run, end up making the playoffs.
He's Trevor Lawrence, man.
Yeah, but what have we not seen what Purdy's done, Craig?
Yeah, he's thrown the ball to Debo and McCaffrey and let them work. He's super accurate.
Are you going to downplay what Trevor Lawrence also has in Jacksonville?
But he's the guy that makes it go. Purdy's not. Jimmy was really good in San Francisco. And I think if you put Darnold in, it's not going to be as good, but it wouldn't be bad. Purdy is in the most insulated, and it's not his fault. And maybe this will, be on a NFL Films documentary in 30 years when Brock Purdy's the next Brady and is got 8 Super Bowl rings. But what Purdy actually is asked to do is less than every other quarterback in the league. So if I'm doing a quarterback rankings, which implies some level of interchangeability, would I trade one for the other? I'm not putting Purdy above Trevor Lawrence or Lamar or...
Oh, no, I didn't say Lamar.
Even a Dak, a Jared Goff right now.
Well, what Dak has to do in Dallas isn't that much.
But he's doing a lot. Outside of the one Cardinals game, you have to factor in talent, man.
Okay, that's fair.
This is how you wind up with silly quarterback rankings. I feel like I just want to put Purdy at 13th, and I'll figure out the rest around him. That will make me happy.
All right, so 8, it seems as though you're because Lamar is 7. It seems as though you're leaning Lawrence.
If we're gonna go based off this year, I'll put Dak ahead of Lawrence. Even though I don't believe that for a second. Stafford.
I would put Stafford ahead of Dak.
Would you? He doesn't have better QBR on the year.
He doesn't have a lot of talent around him either, though. Craig.
Yeah, he has made Nakua look, and he does lead the NFL in passing yards.
Exactly.
All right, we'll put Stafford. We'll put Stafford there.
All right.
He's second in the league. Sorry to Tua. But he
then-
also has 3. No, I'm not doing that. 3 touchdowns, 5 picks. No.
I mean, he's getting them down the field. They're running the ball, and Kyron Williams is
right. So
killing
how's that helping him in the quarterback rankings?
I mean, Dak
Are we
is
learning?
getting helped out too.
Sure.
His run game, his defense, like, I don't know. I think Stafford is being
I'm starting to
asked
realize
do
this
more.
might be harder than we like. It's still not as hard as they make it seem.
Yeah.
But this might be harder, and it also like it depends on what your scale is.
Yeah.
And I guess okay, let's more clearly define the scale. Okay, the scale is: would you trade for the next 5 games? Would you trade? Forget contracts. Would you trade player A for player B?
Okay.
Based off current form and what you think they could do. So based off of current form, would you trade Lawrence for Dak? Like if you have Lawrence and I offer you Dak, are you accepting the trade?
No.
Okay, then Lawrence is higher. And it's for
if I have-
it's for 5 games.
You said if I have Dak, I'm not trading for Lawrence. I don't want Lawrence.
Oh, okay, sorry. The transaction got backwards then. So Dak is higher.
Yeah.
And it's trades back after 5 games.
Yep.
But like for the next 5 games, you would take Dak.
Yep.
Okay, who else would you take? Stafford.
Yep.
Stafford over Dak.
I'm taking Stafford.
I would take Dak.
Okay.
My name's on the show. That's the tiebreaker.
All right.
But they're right there. Where does Goff fit into that?
Ooh. I mean,
Is he ahead of both of them?
I'll probably lean Lawrence then Goff.
Lawrence, Goff. I'm okay with that. There's enough of a track record for me for Lawrence. And that gets us to what number? What are we at?
We're at number 12. Goff is number 11. And I'm
Goff.
thinking Kirk.
Yeah. Kirk, and then Purdy. See, I told you, Purdy's going to wind up 13th.
Okay. You wouldn't want Purdy over Kirk?
Not if you give me Kirk in San Francisco.
Oh, because he's process-oriented. He got you.
Dude, Kyle's wanted Kirk for years.
He would.
Kyle would make that trade tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hey, Brock, thanks. You've never lost a game. Give me Kirk.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that's the correct order.
And then Geno?
Yeah, probably.
Write
Probably.
him back, Craig. Write him back.
I know. I'd probably say Geno. I think that's probably smart. And then we're kind of getting into the
This
Baker,
is where it really gets difficult.
Sam Howell, CJ Stroud,
Anthony Richardson.
Like that's kind of the next tier of guys.
Love.
Jordan Love, I think, is in there too. And look at us. We couldn't do this in 5 minutes.
No.
Shocking. We'll finish where are we at? We're at 13?
We're at 15 now.
We're at 15. Oh, so we got halfway through.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll do the second half of our rankings next on the Hoffman Show on the Team 980. Always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Fantastic callback, Anthony. Well done. Well done. You did it. This is why you listen to all 3 hours of this show. And if you can't, you listen to the podcast because then you get the references from the 4 o'clock hour. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Also, important update, we are now armed and dangerous.
You're too quick with it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I also kind of want to make like a TikTok reel, whatever, where it goes, I feel good. Da-na-na-na-na-na. It kind of works.
Oh, man.
It's got to already exist. Somebody's had to have done that.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Anyway. Back to the quarterback rankings. So we did 1 through 15. Quickly, Anthony, can you recap 1 through 15 as we did our makeshift quarterback rankings in rebuttal and in protest of the terrible ones that some outlet that we're not naming did?
Okay, Mahomes 1, Allen 2, Herbert 3, Tua 4. Hurts at number 5, Joe Burrow number 6, Lamar Jackson 7, Dak 8, Stafford number 9, Trevor Lawrence 10, Jared Goff 11, Kirk Cousins 12, Brock Purdy 13, Geno Smith 14, and now we have 15.
All right, now we get to number 15. And the premise that we finally decided on is we are very much doing this as we are on the... We're building the boat as we're rowing down the stream here. Is for the next 5 games, would you trade player A for player B? If you would, player A is higher. If you would not, player B is higher. Whichever one you'd want for the next 5 games based off their circumstances, based off whatever. Try to make it as quarterback-focused as possible. And that pretty much covers the criteria. But it's a mix of what we think they are in total and their current form. So that is our criteria. I think the next guy is actually C.J. Stroud.
It is, Craig. It is. I was so glad you were going to go there.
He's thrown for 1,200 yards already on the year. His completion percentage is low. That's a little bit of what gives me
But guess
pause.
what, Craig?
But he's avoided turnovers. He's 6 touchdowns and no picks.
No picks, baby. No pick. And he's learning on the job.
Yeah.
Not a lot of, talent down there, but he's making some stuff work.
Nico Collins, Tank Dell.
Offensive line is banged up. I don't even know if Laramie Thompson's played a game yet.
They've had 2 dudes. They replaced Kenyon Green with Kendrick Green, and they're both hurt.
Oh, my God.
K. Green times 2. Who's the next K. Green that can play left guard for the Texans?
Wow.
That's where they're at right now.
And Laramie's still hurt, too.
Yeah. So I think C.J. Stroud's next.
He's nasty. Yep. I like
All right, so Stroud at 15. If we're doing this on current form, man, is Baker next, or would you take Sam over Baker? I might take Sam over Baker. Other contenders to me would be
Richardson and Love.
Those are the other 2 guys.
I mean, Richardson's accuracy worries me. Love, he can be hit or miss.
how we know he is. He just holds onto the ball a little too long. I would probably lean. I think I would lean Love. Just
He's
tap
8
him.
touchdowns to 3 picks. He does have the lowest completion percentage, basically, of any starter in the league
Good
that's
gracious.
played regular snaps. Yeah, the only guy that's lower with multiple starts is Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Ugh.
Love is 56.1% completion percentage. He had that one really, really bad completion
that's what
percentage
it
game
was.
against Atlanta. But then again, like Sam had that game against Buffalo, kind of. I mean, a different version of it. But last week, let's see. Last week he was 23 of 36. He's 22 of 44 against, that was in New Orleans. He 14 and 25, 15 and 27. Now that's kind of who he's been. I don't disagree, though. I feel like he's just played well, played under control. He hasn't turned it over. I'm okay with Jordan Love going next.
Jordan Love at 16
Yeah. And then you're down to Sam, Baker,
and AR. I love AR. I'm not gonna lie. I love AR.
I'm not mad about it.
And then I will probably lean Howell.
And then Baker?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay with that. So that gets us to, what are we at, 18, 19?
Yep. 18, 19. Yeah. Baker's 19.
So if we're now doing this off of the next couple of games here, I think Josh Dobbs has to be in the conversation. I don't think Josh Dobbs is good at all, but he's also not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And for the point of this conversation, a guy with a 70% completion percentage and 4 touchdowns to no picks is worthy of being mentioned here. He's only throwing for 203 yards a game. He's only got 814 passing yards on the year. He's not throwing the ball downfield at all. His yards per attempt is really, really bad. He's 6.6. It's bottom third of the league. But, Trevor Lawrence's worst is actually right there. He's also done a lot more with it. He's got 943 yards in 4 starts compared to the 814 that Dobbs has, averaging over 30 yards more passing a game. But it is what it is. I think Dobbs is the next guy based off this season.
Yeah, I would probably lean, if not Dobbs, then Watson or Garoppolo.
Yeah, we're getting to that tier.
Yeah. But I've liked what I've seen out of Dobbs. And he's played against some tough defenses, though, Craig.
And he
had
has.
Dallas. He had the Commanders. Giants defense, thought it was going to be good. Not really. But, yeah, he's played against some tough defenses, and he fared okay. So I like Dobbs here.
So far this season, Dobbs, if we're being honest, though, next 5 games, I'd probably put Watson out of him. And that takes a lot coming from me because I hate Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be accurate. So I'll leave that in your hands.
Who does the
Dobbs-Watson decision is on you.
I'll probably go D-Watt first, then Dobbs.
Okay. And then after that, Garoppolo.
Yep.
I think
Jimmy
is the
G.
next guy.
Yep.
I think the easy one after that is probably Russ. And then we enter like the yikes tier.
The really, really.
Then we enter the not good yet because they're young and have no help / is this guy cooked tier.
And you also know we got Tannehill on the board
he's the guy that I'm talking about of like, is this guy cooked?
Yeah.
Of that group, the guy, I can't believe I'm saying this, and this might get me laughed at, but the guy that I would probably trust for the next 5 games the most is Daniel Jones.
Oh, because Saquon is coming back?
Saquon's coming back. I still don't think, was last year a bit of a fluke? Maybe, but it wasn't this much of a fluke. There's no way he's this bad. He's also completing 68.7% of his passes. They're not going anywhere. He's averaging, no yards per. He's averaging, is that yards per game? Yeah, 191 yards per game. Yeah. I'm so far down in the column that I had to scroll back up to see what column I was even looking at. He's averaging 190 yards per game. But he is completing 68% of his passes, and there's no way that he's going to be 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions in the next 5 like he was the first 4.
Yeah, a lot of his completions, though, are like check downs, curls, hitting the running back. It's nothing really.
We're picking from the bottom of the barrel here, bro.
Daniel Jones just bothers me.
Okay, nominate someone else. Derek Carr? I'm okay putting Derek Carr ahead of Daniel Jones.
This really is ugly, Craig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I will go Derek Carr.
Zach Wilson?
No.
Justin
Well,
Fields?
If he plays like he did the other night, Zach could be up there. But
Zach looked all right the other night, but God, he's been so bad.
I'll go Derek Carr.
Okay, I'm okay with Derek Carr.
And then Daniel Jones. Over 10? Yeah, over 10 AO too.
Okay, then I think we're getting to, and honestly, if you wanted to put Fields in there, I'm okay with Fields. Maybe I think Carr's the correct next guy.
Yep.
And then after that, if you want to go Wilson, Jones, Fields, Tannehill, I'm good with any of them.
All right, so I got Carr, Daniel Jones, Tannehill. There were 4.
Mac Jones.
Yep.
Bryce Young.
Yep.
Desmond Ridder.
Yep.
And
Kenny Pickett.
And Kenny Pickett. Yikes, bro.
And I don't even blame
Honestly,
Pickett, to be honest.
Let's go reverse order.
We got Mahomes as the best in the league. Josh Allen 2, Herbert 3, 2 or 4. Hurts 5, Joe Burrow 6, Lamar Jackson 7, Dak 8, Stafford 9, Trevor Lawrence 10, Jared Goff 11, Kirk Cousins 12, Brock Purdy 13, Geno Smith 14, CJ Stroud 15, 16, Jordan Love. Then you got Anthony Richardson at 17. Sam Howell comes in at the lovely number 18. Baker Mayfield, number 19. Deshaun Watson, 20. Josh Dobbs, 21. Jimmy Garoppolo, 22. Russell Wilson, 23. Derek Carr, 24. Daniel Jones, 25. Zach Wilson coming in at 26. Ryan Tannehill, 27. Fields, what is his first name?
Justin.
Justin.
He's the quarterback they're playing this week. You're also reading a lot of names, bro.
Yeah. Justin Fields, 28. Mac Jones, 29. Kenny Pickett, 30. Bryce Young, 31. And the worst so far through 4 games, I guess, Desmond Ridder.
All right. Those are our rankings. I think they're better than the other team.
Substantially better.
Yeah. Honestly, they're so good. Can you email me that? I might make a graphic. The C app. And when we get back, it is time for Real Things Real People Said into Real Microphones, which will include something that we've wanted to play for 3 days. Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Wrapping up here on a Wednesday. Tomorrow we are live at Tap Sports Bar, MGM National Harbor. We start at 4 o'clock with the Hoffman Show. 6:30, we start our simulcast on 106.7 The Fan. We'll be live on both stations, live on both YouTube channels for the Take Command pregame show. You do not want to miss it. So that is tomorrow. And we actually just found out that my day is going to start a little bit earlier, which leads us to real things real people said into real microphones. Come on, system.
Real things.
We're not gonna be so this year.
Real people.
5 and 11, not very good.
Said into real microphones.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
So earlier in the show, this happened. Just coming out of break randomly between me and Anthony, apropos of nothing.
Are you tired, Craig?
I'm exhausted.
I'm not.
And I got 4 hours and 15. At least I don't have to do Take Command tomorrow morning. Although I will say.
Ooh.
So we record. What?
You have a radio hit tomorrow.
I don't think I do.
Oh.
I've done Michael's show in Richmond. I've done Awad's show in Richmond. I'm out of shows, unless like the Junkies call me and want to have me on in the morning. And Anthony, what happened in the last commercial break?
The Junkies called you and said they want you on.
I'll be on the Junkies at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
That is actually hilarious.
Or in the words of our friend. Oh, come on. In the words of our friend. Yeah. Or maybe just a little. Yeah. See you at 9 a.m. on the Junkies. Gonna be a good time. Always good being on with those guys. And 9 a.m. is not that bad. Logan and I have been like, hey, be on recording at 8 the past couple days. So just have a nice relaxing morning, sip some coffee, watch a little tape maybe, get ready, go on the junks, and then go get my workout in before we skedaddle on over to MGM National Harbor. See y'all there. 4 o'clock is when the show starts. I got to get there early because I got to set up all our fancy cameras and stuff. Yeah, this is part of what I got to think about tomorrow, Anthony. I'm going to have to adjust the camera because I got to start with just me. And eventually it's like, oh, Logan's here. Zoom out. Reset. Good thing that I have a nice fancy camera that we can do that pretty easily.
Yes.
All right. So that's tomorrow. As for today, we wanted to play this couple, basically since Monday. This happened on Sunday during the game that our friend Adam Amin was calling. It was the blowout Titans-Bengals game on Fox. And he got a little confused at one point. Unfortunately, I also screwed this up because I've had this audio since Sunday night, and I kept trying to email it to Anthony from my phone, and it did not work. So eventually we did a little airdrop situation and then emailed. But yeah, we got it straightened out. This is on Fox during the end of the Bengals-Titans game. Our boy Adam Amin. Brilliance.
I thought the flag was thrown. It was a butterfly, actually, I swear. There's a catch by Tanner Hudson. He had a couple last week, and he takes it for a first down. I swear, I saw something yellow fly from the near side right in front of our booth, and it looked like it was thrown by an official. It was just a butterfly. That's how easily distracted we got out of the booth today. That's how sharp of a broadcaster you were.
Right.
It's distracted by butterflies during the game.
Hey, listen, they are beautiful. The gorgeous day here.
I love Schlereth just taking it. They are beautiful. Just the beginning again.
I thought the flag was thrown. It was a butterfly, actually, I swear.
The flag, I swear.
I swear, I thought it was a flag. It was a butterfly. You hate to see it. Oh, that's so funny. Just Adam taking it in stride. True mensch. I hope Adam is on a Commander's call soon. They got a bunch of CBS games coming up. Obviously, we got Al Michaels and Kirk tomorrow night on Amazon. But then they got a CBS deal. Maybe we'll get Ian again.
Uh-oh.
That'd be fun.
Yep.
I don't think Commanders Falcons is going to get Ian, though. Ian's their number 2 at CBS behind
game?
him. Yeah.
Oh,
I wonder who we'll get. I mean, maybe we'll get our guy Andrew Catalan again. And Matt Ryan calling a Falcons game. That could be fun.
that's good.
Hey, Arthur Smith. Good to see you for this production meeting. You traded me, you son of a gun. How's Desmond Ritter playing?
What? Isn't that his father-in-law or something like that?
No.
Oh, maybe I'm confused.
I don't believe so.
Matt Ryan is related to somebody in the Falcons organization.
I mean, he was their quarterback for 15 years.
Yeah, but I think he married somebody's daughter.
Matt Ryan wife, Sarah Marshall. They've been together since 2003.
Oh, never mind.
I think you're thinking of someone else.
I think I am too. think I am. Now I'm gonna go do my research.
Yeah. Apparently she was a basketball player. I'm guessing at BC. Yeah. Yeah, Sarah was a basketball player at BC. There you go. Learned something new today. Elsewhere on Planet Real Things, we got Anthony Edwards on Rudy Gobert shooting more threes, or as they call them in France, trois, because that's what threes are. Yep. Anthony, I didn't get a half a laugh out of you on that one.
I was doing my research. I'm sorry. I was
on
locked
what?
in.
You trying to find out who's married to who?
Yeah.
Did you forget this bite? Did you find anything?
No.
What do you search to try to figure out whatever mystery you're trying to solve?
I typed in Matt Ryan, but now I'm going to type in Arthur Smith.
Well, I mean, Arthur Smith, Arthur Smith's dad is Fred Smith, the founder of FedEx and the former Commanders co-owner, but that's not really helping. All right, maybe we'll see if we can solve this mystery by tomorrow. See you at Tap Sports Bar on the Hoffman Show.